Hello, welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm your host, Joe Squan, and joined here by Tony Tones at RT. How are you, Tony?
Hello. It's a new month,
Yes,
in
sir.
the new year, technically. Another new year,
Another
depending
new
on what
year.
calendar you.
So this week we're going to be talking about the best topics from me are Palworld. Came out that game that the Nintendo company doesn't want you to know about. Machine Games is making another game where you fight a bunch of Nazis with Indiana
I can't wait.
Jones, and Until Dawn
Yep.
is going to be coming to PC, but not through Supermassive Games.
Yes.
So it's actually ex Supermassive Games devs under Sony. So yeah, what you were interested at all about this week,
I would
Tony?
say, well, we've got some cancellations because of layoffs, tale as old as recession, apparently,
Yeah.
and, well, Epic Games might be owned by a mouse now. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Well,
So Tony, so we didn't record for like 2 weeks
No.
because of I think sickness or something, but now we're back. So there's like in the month we haven't recorded, there's been a Microsoft's developer direct and a PlayStation State of Play. So there's a bunch of
Yeah.
news that's come out. But I've had
Yeah,
Games
it's quite a
Pass for the
lot.
past month, and I've been playing a ton of games. And usually I get to pick one. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
quickly go through the list of games I've been playing. I've been playing.
Okay.
So this is outside of Games Pass. I've Sea of Thieves private servers and Monkey Island Tall Tale. I've played through the entirety of the Monkey Island Tall Tale. I finished that.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
I've also tried the new update with the private servers and also Season 11. Lethal Company VR, I tried that out for about 15 minutes. I was just messing around getting that to work. It seems to work pretty decently for a mod. Resident Evil 2 Revelations, I played that for like an hour co-op when I had my friend Vietnam Wave around. We played that for a
Okay.
bit. And I was very good at holding the flashlight while he was shooting things because that's what you do at the start of that game, apparently. I've been playing Steam Next Fest demos. I streamed a couple to you, and there was one that we really enjoyed, but we're going to have to do there will be a Steam Next Fest tangerine on all the Steam demos I'm playing because there's been some really good ones this Next Fest.
Yeah.
I think there's been a bunch of news recently basically saying, oh, demos are really good right now. Like there's so many good demos out there.
Yeah.
Why has it been so long since we had demos?
I don't know. I don't know if this is like something like I see like from what because I kind of watch. I get recommended like game dev, like small game dev, like people working on games, and like a lot of them I've been watching have been like, oh, my first phase was like getting something good enough to like put onto a Steam page.
Yeah.
And then every time then it's stage 2 is like getting a decent demo out. It's like I don't know if that's indicative of like the entire like indie scene, but like a lot of people I'm just see from recommendations have started saying that, which I didn't see like a couple years ago. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I did see some developers on Twitter pushing back against the idea of demos, saying it takes a lot of time to actually make the demo, and it can actually crunch on indie devs to try and get a demo out for these Next Fest because they're so frequent.
Trying to get it out for Next Fest, I think. To me, it's like we're so frequent. Why did I guess they have themes, so yeah. To me, I don't think you need to get it out for a Next Fest. If you can, that's great. But like a demo by itself outside of a Next Fest, I think is also brilliant.
A lot of demos have been like, oh yeah, here's a demo for a game. By the way, it comes out in like a week. Yeah. I've been noticing that a lot more as well. Yeah. Whereas you have this super polished demo on top of being like, well, if you like that, put it on your wish list. It's coming out soon, and you can pick it up. So it's like fresh in people's minds still.
I've seen a lot of like successful indie developers who have like their own YouTube channel, like they've like at least partially released like some of the stats from like their game sales, and like kind of showed like a link between.
Hang on, we're going off at a
demos being a good way to not get negative reviews and things. So to them it's good.
On Games Pass, I'm playing the Gunk. We have the spotlight on Gunk. We have a spotlight on Gunk. But I've actually gone back and I've played the entire game now. I've finished it.
Oh, okay.
So we might do a tangerine on that. Slayers X, Terminal of the Aftermath. I've played the entirety of that. New Super Lucky's Tale. I've 100%ed that. Palworld, the big sleeper hit of 2024. I've been playing that on
Yeah.
Games Pass. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, the sequel to Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. I've 100% completed that. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. I've played about an hour of that. On that same
Okay.
thread, Tony, I said I was going to play more Japanese games this year. I've
Yep.
actually played my first Persona game. I've been playing Persona 3 Reload, the complete modern day remake of Persona 3 and like the modern Persona 5 style. And I am
Yeah.
like 15 hours into that game. I've been playing a lot of it.
Oh Jesus, this is quite wide then. Okay.
Gears of War Ultimate Edition. I've played the first 3 chapters of that through with a friend. I haven't touched it since I played it on the Xbox 360, but they made a version of it for Windows 10. So you can play it on Games Pass, the first Gears of War game.
Out of this list, I personally I want to know about the Sea of Thieves stuff because like I was like I have it downloaded still, so I was kind of curious to know like how it goes.
Yeah, so I'll talk about Sea of Thieves for a minute. It's 1 minute, right? Or do I get 5 minutes? I think it was a 1 minute.
It's normally a minute, but I think I would compromise and say 2 minutes.
Are you giving me an extra minute?
Yeah, I'll give you an extra minute.
Okay. We might do a tangerine on this. I'm not sure, but I've got some footage here. Right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So this is the next Tall Tales. Tall Tales are very much like self-contained campaigns within Sea of Thieves, and I will say ever since the Pirates Life, the Pirates of the Caribbean one, they've been much more like roller coaster rides in terms of like they're really like linear and sort of put you in like a more of a sandbox environment. And I would say this carries on that theme where the IPs and the cinematics and stuff are getting a lot bigger in terms of like flashiness and fleshed out, but they're much more contained. Like the early Tall Tales were like cowboy times where it was like, oh, you can go to this island over here, but when you're in the middle of doing a Tall Tale and another pirate ship can come and attack you and take your stuff, and you basically have to start the Tall Tale again. That shit was really annoying. So another thing with the private servers is you can now play on completely private servers, but you get reduced pay. So it'll just be you and your crew and nobody else, and that's been really good. I will say the amount of money you get for being on a private server is a lot less. So it's not as good money if you're looking to make a bunch of loot, but I guess that makes sense, that risk reward sort of thing. I've never played Monkey Island. I'm not a big point and click guy, but I was actually playing part of this with my friend Anton, who is a huge Monkey Island fan, and he was like, oh, this is really accurate to how you play Monkey Island. There's an entire section where you have to fight people. The way you fight people is you have to fight them by insulting them. And he was like, oh, this is just like how you actually fight people in Monkey Island. So it is actually like, it's a really cool Sea of Thieves thing, but it's also very faithful to Monkey Island, which is like really cool to see. And
I assume you meet Guybrush.
Yeah, who is disgraced and somehow the governor at the same time.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, there's about 3 episodes, and if you've played Monkey Island, you will really enjoy this. And if you haven't played Monkey Island like you, I still really enjoyed it as well. So there's something for everybody here.
Yeah.
But I would recommend checking it out with some friends and some pineapples.
My experience with like Monkey Island is like watching people like do like retrospectives on it. Like it's not something that I don't think I'd want to play, but like watching people play, like I really enjoyed it. Like the theme of it is really cool. Yeah, I guess I could experience it in a modern game. You've
bought Sea of Thieves now, and you want to check it out.
Yeah, I've had it for. I don't think I've ever played it, but I've owned it for a couple of years now, and I installed it at the start of the year.
Talk about when we talk about announcements. We'll talk about the new Sea of Thieves season, because I feel like they made it even easier to get into Sea of Thieves now with the newest season.
Okay.
Because this is past the private server update, and they've made it even easier. So, yeah. Can't wait to talk about all the games I've been playing, because I've been playing. Tony, so just quickly aside, I had a month free of Game Pass, which the month's run out, but I was like, I have 5 days left of Games Pass, right? and I was
Yeah.
like, what should I start playing in my last 5 days? Like, I know I probably won't be able to finish something really long if I started. So I had Cocoon downloaded. I was like, oh, Cocoon's really short. I could play that. But I was like, I should start playing Persona 3. And then I was like, 15 hours later, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to buy more Games Pass now. Like, I was like,
Oh
that,
no.
like, it got me. I was like, damn. So I've got a couple more months of Games Pass. Because
Right.
I'm really enjoying Games Pass. I think it is one of the best deals in gaming right now. And I'm not
Yeah.
somebody who needs to replay a lot of games that I play. So, or
Yeah.
feels the
I'm.
need, or like wants to play a lot of the replay a lot of the games. Like the
Yeah. I've
games I
always.
the games I replay are I play Half-Life 2 religiously like every year,
Yeah.
and I go back and I play Ratchet and Clank. But most of the time I don't replay games ever.
Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
Well, that's an online game. That's very different. I
It's
mean,
you're talking about
I,
you're talking about like single player
I've never
experiences.
completed that game, so
What? Oh, okay. You're still going on the grind.
yeah.
Okay,
But yeah,
understandable.
that's
No, yeah,
me.
I was
Oh
just gonna
well.
say just like quickly, it's just like I like owning games. I'm still on that trend. I'm kind of like
Don't get me wrong.
because of like
So
being massively fucked by like streaming services for like TV shows and films. Like I'm kind of going back to like owning that as well.
like
At some point, I
some
might
of
have
the
to own
things
music
I
as
don't
well.
like about Games Pass is when they put stuff on there to get people subscribed and they remove it like a year later. That stuff's annoying.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so I'm playing Persona 3 because it literally just came out. It's a game that came out this year in terms of it was remade this year. But I know it'll be on there for like a year. So I'm like, okay, I have enough
Yeah.
time to play this entire thing. But I went on there, I was like, oh, they put the other Persona games on there, didn't they? But they removed those. They put Persona 4 and 5 on there,
Oh,
but they were only on there
that's
for a year, so I can't play those. So I
that's
actually, there was
unfortunate.
a Luna sale on Steam, so I actually bought Persona 5 on Steam because I was like, well, if I get it
Okay,
on Steam, I can play it on my Steam
no
Deck as
problem.
well. And I also
Yeah,
own the game, so
yeah,
because that's
yeah.
another thing.
I
Like if you have a Steam
I like
Deck,
owning games.
it's pretty impossible to play Games Pass games on your Steam Deck unless you
Yeah, it's
have
like
the
so
like
integrated to
ultimate
Microsoft.
xCloud streaming, which is not
Yeah, yeah,
ideal. But yeah,
yeah.
let's move on.
Games on sale.
Let's go into trailers. 4D Golf, Tony. Release date trailer. When is the release date for this then? March 22nd. I just thought this looked nuts. 4D Golf, Tony. What do you think?
I'm trying to understand. Hang on, I'm trying to. Okay, so you can't. So as you move.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on either.
Okay. How are you supposed to plan for anything? I guess
I
you have to
don't know
like.
how you play this, but it looks right up my alley.
It looks. I think. We're gonna take it seriously, I suppose. Just enjoying like the
Oh,
ride
I
of
think
what's
this
over
game's
here.
already got like, I think it already has like workshop support confirmed.
Oh my god.
So I'm like, okay, you know,
So they must have
even if they
like
make a couple of
modified.
maps, some people will
They
be
must have
making
modified
their
the engine to
own.
be able to like have this working. So that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, build your own 4D courses in the level editor. I don't know how the fuck the level editor is
How?
going to work for the game like this, but
Yeah,
we'll
is there like a
see. It has a Steam
yeah? Do you have like a
workshop, so you'll
3D
be able.
scape?
Someone's going to make
Yeah,
even more crazy maps than this. So,
yeah. Once they figure out how it works.
but yeah, I love playing just random golf
No, that's
games
good.
with friends, and it's got multiplayer. So, I believe, does it have multiplayer? Actually, I didn't check. Shared split screen PvP. Maybe it doesn't have netcode. 120. Race the clock in marble platforming mode. What does that even mean? Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, that's something. I
Right.
don't know how you would
Oh, this is
render
the
that
here's the
in
level editor.
multiplayer. So yeah, I would say there's level to stuff, but like how it didn't show the 4D stuff. So it
Maybe
showed
you
like
add
crazy 3D.
maybe you add the crazy stuff after you've done with the
I'm
level
wondering
editor.
if they got like yeah, I'm wondering if they got another slider like to add like the fourth dimension and like you're gonna shift between them or something. Is I don't know.
Can't wait till they make 5D golf and multiverse time travel.
Yeah,
Surely.
I look forward.
And then next trailer we have is Plants vs Zombies 3. Welcome to Zomburbia. And I'm just looking at this and I'm like, I'm not sure about this. I adored Plants vs. Zombie 1, and then Plants vs. Zombie 2 was more like a microtransaction mobile game. And this
Yeah.
seems more like the mobile game sort of idea
Yeah.
than it does the original spirit of the first one. I'm not sure. I mean, the Garden Warfare game, especially the first Garden Warfare game, was really fun. I played that through like
Not
EA
Guild Wars 2.
Play.
Sorry, Guild Warfare 2.
Oh, Garden Warfare 2. Yeah, sorry. People that are confused. But
I just found funny. I was like, yeah, GW2. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. I think that might be you.
This very much looks like a game that was designed to be played on like
Yeah.
a phone or an iPad, and they're like, okay, and then we'll port it to PC. So I don't know.
Very much so.
I love Plants vs Zombies, but yeah, look, download on the App Store and Google Play. So is it just coming out on the mobile then? So look. Man, I'm so sad for this one. One of the best games ever turned into Gardenscapes 2. Doesn't look like they took everyone's criticism into account and kept going with everything everyone hated about the early access version of this game. This ain't a comeback, it's a funeral. This looks like the kind of game that would have full screen unskippable ads after every level. It does.
Yeah.
Dude, I keep getting this thumbnail and I'm like, Valve's new Steam Deck OLED is genius. So I keep thinking it's Vsauce Michael because it's a bald dude with a beard.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm like,
it does look like a little bit.
And I'm like, damn, if Vsauce Michael made a Steam Deck video, I would have clicked on that immediately.
Oh. You think Steam Deck 2 they should get Vsauce Michael to try
that guy has pro gamer moves. So
yeah.
Let's move on. Okay, Sea of Thieves Season 11, Tony. Let's talk about what they changed in Season 11. So you can now pick up voyages from... So you used to pick up voyages from trading company representatives at the outpost. You'd have to go up to them, sell to an outpost, talk to an outpost rep, buy a contract from them, and then you would go and sail on a voyage. Now, you can just go up to the quest table of your ship and immediately go into a voyage. There's much less friction there.
Oh, so just like...
So from a quest table on each ship, you can now provide the ability to choose from all outings and dive directly to the scene of a voyage, a tall tale, or a new raid voyage. So what happens is, you're like, okay, I want to go over here. It'll basically dive the ship underwater and then basically submerge you, and then you'll come up right where you want to be, sort of thing. So it's sort of like a semi-fast travel system.
Cool. Yeah.
And I know people were kind of upset about this because they're like, well, it's like teleporting and it's a fast travel thing, and a lot of the game is sailing across the map. But when you submerge, everything that you have on your ship gets floated to the top. So you can't actually bring like supplies or loot with you. So this is just basically... It's basically just to get you into the game at the beginning before you have anything. You can be like, okay, I just want to do the tall tale. Take me to the tall tale. Okay, I just want to go and do this voyage. Take me to the start of the voyage. It's just like that sort of thing. Because you can't. Because if you're being chased down by people and you're like, I've got a bunch of loot, I want to go and sell this. If you dive, you lose all your loot. So you can't fast travel away and like cheese your way out of combat and stuff like that. If you're playing on like a public server.
Yeah, right? I feel like that's a good trade-off because I think there's definitely a problem with like you don't want to mechanically remove like the fun part of like traversal road.
Another thing when people were saying like, oh, I spent all this time on a voyage. This is pre-private servers. And then somebody comes along, they steal all my loot, they kill me, and I just wasted all this time. So another thing they allowed you to do was they were like, okay, you can bury loot, and then you can give a location to it, and other people can dig it up. And when they dig it up, you get a portion of that loot, right? But another thing they're doing now is as soon as you complete a voyage, you get a portion of that reputation straight away. So like even
hand it in.
So you don't feel like you're wasting time even if you like your loot gets stolen. You will immediately get a reward for completing that voyage. But then the big reward will come from selling the loot and the XP. They've also raised the cap on the factions. You can now go up to level 100. It used to be there was 3 factions. You get 3 factions to level 50, and then you can become a pirate lord. But they're basically adding like they're basically adding prestige ranks. So I think it's still 3 factions to 50, and then you can become a pirate lord. But if you want to grind more, because this is a live service game, Tony, technically.
Yeah.
So if you want to grind more, you can like prestige and get more cosmetic stuff. Like everything in Sea of Thieves is just if you want more cosmetics, you can get more. It's like TF2, you can get more hats.
Pirate hat. Yeah, pirate hat simulator. I understand. I respect that as a system. I think that's fine.
But yeah, that's the big changes. You can basically just jump straight into stuff now. So I think the game is they added new tutorials as well. So there's loads more new tutorials for all of the different events and stuff. I think like Sea of Thieves right now is more new player friendly than it's ever been. I remember when
you're saying is now's the time to jump in.
Now's the time if you want to play Sea of Thieves, jump in because it is a very good time to start playing.
Yeah.
I remember when I started playing the game, there was no tutorial, and after like an hour, I was like, I think I'm going to quit playing this game because I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. And I struggled through it, and then I was like, oh, this is amazing. The game just allows you to do whatever you want, but it's still like people, not everyone's going to enjoy that, and a lot of people will get turned off by that.
It was you need to like ease people into that.
There's a lot of freedom in this game, and you can just, sort of play the way you want to. But, there's a lot of mechanics that if you're not tutorialized, then it can be kind of hard to get into initially. But right now, there's tutorials. You can jump straight in. You can, play in a PvE sandbox area away from other players. And I think that is good. So that's cool to see. Tony, let's talk about some shit news. Cancellations. Embracer Group has been doing layoffs and downsizing shit after their Saudi $2 billion deal run out. Embracer Group has cancelled a Deus Ex game after 2 years of development. I think Adam Jensen's voice actor, famously from The Expanse, was saying online, he was like, oh, I was doing voice work for this game and it got cancelled. I was doing voice work for another game that got cancelled. And then I was doing voice work for another game that's just started. So it's just like, I have nothing to show right now because everything I'm doing just keeps getting cancelled. It's a shame.
If only his character could come back on The Expanse.
Yeah, he'll be back.
As a voice.
He'll be back. Blizzard cancels survival game following layoffs. They were developing this game for a long time, right? We kept hearing about this survival game that was coming out from Activision Blizzard.
When did we first start hearing about it? I can't remember.
I felt like
when this started.
BlizzCon, like 2019, maybe something like that.
2019.
Yeah. Oh, 2022 actually. 2022, Blizzard announced it was making its first survival game. So it's been a few years now.
Okay. But did we hear that before this? This was like the official announcement.
Yeah, maybe there's rumors and stuff like that. I'm not sure. But basically, there's been massive layoffs at Activision Blizzard. The FTC actually was making a complaint against Microsoft and was saying, hey, you told us you wanted to acquire Activision Blizzard and then you fired a bunch of people. And then Microsoft was like, oh, Activision Blizzard was already going to fire all these people anyway before we acquired them. Which is a shame.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is you can cancel orders. Sure.
But this would have been this would have been Blizzard's first new IP since Overwatch in 2016. So that's 8 years ago. And also, I don't know if you know this, but Overwatch was made because they cancelled a StarCraft MMO called Titan.
Yeah, I did know that.
Maybe this unannounced survival game being cancelled will make a new Overwatch thing, my Bobby. They'll be like, okay, we'll take our ideas from
maybe
this cancelled game and we'll turn it into something else. Like hopefully,
old Blizzard would have definitely kept using stuff and try and make it work in some way or another, or maybe put it on ice for later, and then go, oh, we could take this into this current project. But I don't know about current Blizzard. I don't know how.
Tony, I've got some more news from you. Riot's been laying off people. And because they've been laying off people, Riot Forge has been scrapped. So if you don't know, Riot Forge was basically Riot's way of licensing out their IP to third parties to make their own games. And there was some pretty cool stuff that was made. Like the Ziggs game, where it was like an auto runner. There was the Ruined King, which was like a Airship Syndicate, the guys who did Darksiders Genesis, was it? There was Song of Nunu, which was like I heard was pretty good.
That's a Teletubbies one, isn't it?
Teletubbies, no. Not Nunu.
No?
Okay. That was like a single player like platformer.
But I don't quite understand.
Which has very good reviews on Steam.
But surely the point of licensing this out is that like the other companies would take the financial burden and you just like sell the license and then take a certain percentage of profits after that. Like surely that's like an easy way if you have a strong IP to sell it out to like make money. Like I don't understand why you would stop doing that. Unless they were they partially funding these projects as well?
I think
I don't know.
I think it was
what the
maybe that there
transaction
was
was.
people whose specific job it was to be Riot Forge employees, like working with third parties. And you got to understand, like collaborations on this scale take a lot of overhead and a lot of like manpower from Riot to work.
Absolutely, I think it, but compared to I don't know if it's bringing in money, like it's probably
so the release of
thing.
Bandle's Tale will be sunsetted after that point.
Right, that's the last one.
They just said, we do view this as core to our strategy moving forward. We aren't closing the door entirely on single-player experiences or working with other developers if the right project comes along, but we would want it to look pretty different in the future. So they're basically saying, we don't want to just give out our IP and just let people go. They're not doing the Warhammer model where they're just going, go crazy.
Go crazy.
They're just like, you know what? We want to protect our brand and be like, we want to make a really cool game and our core focus is just like I think Legends of Runeterra, their card game, they're looking at that now because we're making changes to move the game towards sustainability. And what I'll say from when I play, like I know like Valorant and League of Legends are doing really well. I'm sure Wild Rift, the mobile version of League of Legends, is doing fine. I would say from playing Legends of Runeterra myself, it's a pretty decent card game. And I think one of the biggest positives from a player perspective was it's so free to play, player friendly. Like you don't have to spend money on that game. And I think that's why Riot is probably like, you know what, we need to like maybe more aggressively monetize Legends of Runeterra, because they're saying they basically said it has not performed well. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So apparently they're going to be reducing the size of that team. And shifting our focus to the Path of Champions PvE game mode. But yeah. Tony. Oh, here we go. Spec Ops: The Line has been delisted. I don't know if you heard about this.
Yeah, I did. There's a Game Maker's Toolkit video on it.
Not only was it delisted from Steam, it's been delisted from other stores. I already own Spec Ops: The Line on Steam, so I have a permanent copy, which is lucky. But anyone who hadn't had the chance to pick this up yet, it's being delisted from all over the place. It might be up on GOG still. Spec Ops: The Line. So look, is it still up for sale on GOG? No, it's gone from GOG now. I know that was one of the last places you could get it when this was announced. But if you honestly,
sucks.
It's abandonware status at this point. Like if they're not going to let you buy the game anymore, you should be able to just download this in some form, because you want to preserve
that's
the
kind
art.
of that's kind of my opinion with like all of these like commercial products. Like if you're not gonna legally sell it anymore, then like surely it should like be released to the public. Like I don't know. I understand there's like some problems with that, but it's like you're not. It's not preserving art. It's like I think it is important.
I think a lot of people were complaining because they basically just removed it and didn't give. They weren't like, hey,
there's no notice.
In 2 weeks, licensing are expiring. You have 2 weeks to buy the game. It's going to be delisted.
Yeah.
They just went, licensing expired. You know, over at 2K, we don't really give a shit about the players, so we're just going to remove this.
That's the message that I received. It's like they don't care.
Yeah.
So what? I don't know.
Let's have a look. Let's move on.
It sucks.
Yep. Let's move on to releases. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown came on January 18th. So it's been a long time since we've done podcasts. So there's a lot of releases, so we'll go through them quickly.
Yeah.
This game, I was hyped for this game coming out because I was like, oh, it looks like an old Ubisoft game. Like it actually looks like a game. It's not climb 500 towers in an open world with really boring side quests. It looks like an actual single player linear game like old Ubisoft.
I haven't seen any reviews of it, but whenever I see someone play it, like, oh, what game is this? And, oh, it's Prince of Persia. This looks good. I don't know what are people saying.
I've watched a lot of gameplay of people playing it, and it is like a lot of people are saying it's better than Metroid Dread in terms of like Metroidvania. And that I love Metroid Dread, so that makes me very hyped to play it. Like it's getting praise that it's like better than a really good Metroid game.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
which was really good.
I got to check this out. It's only available on Uplay and Epic. I was really hoping they brought it to Games Pass. But given that Assassin's Creed Valhalla's just come to Games Pass, I'm sure that's not going to happen for a long time. Like, the way Ubisoft's been working, it's been like, yeah, you can buy Uplay for like £20 a month. How fucking much Uplay costs. And then, or you can buy on Epic Games, which I don't want to do. And then I still would have to, run Uplay as well, which I would have to run Uplay through the Xbox app or Steam or whatever. But
yeah, I'd recommend just buying it on.
I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait for it to come
to.
I'm just wait for them to port it to Steam, and then I'll get it on sale when they release it on there. But it's a shame because this game looked really cool, and I heard them saying stuff like, "Oh, It seemed to like people seem to like this game, but I think maybe they're like, oh, it didn't sell as well as we were hoping, and I'm like, well, it's because you kind of shot it in the foot before you even fucking released it. You're like, get Uplay, and everyone's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, my understanding was that it actually sells well if you like just look at it by itself, but like there was like the I can't remember the correct like the actual full statement that Ubisoft made, but it's like implied it was like more to do like the earnings of like the quarter. And it's like you can't just expect a game to do that. Like if other losses are concurred, like you can't blame the game.
It's also a really well made game. It runs on every console at least 60 FPS. It runs on PC without stutter. The development team made a brand new feature where you can take like in-game screenshots with like information about stuff there. Be like, I can't get through this obstacle yet. I'll come back here once I get this Metroidvania power.
I thought it was brilliant. The only complaint I heard about that was that there's a limit of how many you can do that. It's like, can we just increase the limit, please? Because I love this mechanic.
So it's January 18th. We also had the release of Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, which I've played the entire thing on Games Pass, and this is one of the games of my games of 2024. It is fucking phenomenal. It's like 4 hours long, but it is like the perfect length of a game. It's like I was like, this could be a little bit longer, but I'm kind of like actually liking how short it is. I'm like, it's the perfect condensed experience. I highly recommend Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. The gameplay is really good. The characters are funny, and it's an interesting story. And then the music's really good as well. Palworld came out 19th of January. We'll be talking a lot about Palworld. I have an entire Palworld section because the internet's been on fire with this game. It sold like 9 million copies in like a month. Like people are going crazy for this.
It's being really well when like normal news channels like talk about the games that don't normally do gaming. So
I've been playing this on Games Pass. Basically, before it came out, there was no hype for the game. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's the game with Pokemon with guns. I'm gonna play this as a joke. So I was like, and I was like hyping up to my friends. I was like, you need to play this game. It's Pokemon with guns. Let's fucking play it. And everyone's like, it's not going to be that good. And then I stopped playing and I'm like, wait, I don't have any guns, but this is actually like a weirdly well-paced survival crafting game.
So basically, it's like only like you're popping through word of mouth because there's no other like advertising that like really like blew up.
I think the big thing was that it was. Not only was it on Games Pass, but it was like... It's the start of the year, and everyone has kind of been starved for good survival crafting games. Like, the last big survival crafting game we had was like... probably Valheim that was really big, and people were like, really hyped for that one.
I think that's fair to like say it's the last big one. Yeah, I think that's fair. I
So
think
you
it's
have
crazy
you
though, like
had
you're saying like it's on
so you
Games
have
Pass,
yeah.
but it also sells really well on Steam.
Yeah, I think people saw it and were
That's
like,
just
"Oh, I've
insane
got to
to
try
me.
this." So yeah, you had people who were like, "Oh, I want to play," because they made another game before this called Craftopia, which I guess they learned about
Oh
survival
yeah,
crafting through that. Um,
I vaguely know
then,
a
so you had people who
Craftopia.
wanted a survival crafting game, were like, "Oh, this is a good survival crafting game, I'll play it." You had pissed off Pokemon fans that were tired of Game Freak just completely ignoring their IP of PAL collecting or monster collections, and people are like, oh, you can actually capture pals and capture 150 and manage them. This is scratching that itch of like a Pokemon game. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I think, and then there was the third group, which I'm in, which was like, I want to shoot Pokemon with a gun. So you have everyone covered there, you know?
Yeah, you gone for the full evil build, right? Where you just
I have a
full
factory full of Pokemon
workforce.
that are depressed and are sick. And whenever they get depressed or sick, I don't craft medicine to fix them. It takes too long. I get new pals. A sick pal is a gone pal. Get them out of my factory. I need more pals to build me more ammo for my guns.
I find it interesting because like there's like I don't think it's a majority, but there's like some people like some Pokemon fans like, oh my god, this is like they ripped off Pokemon sort of thing. But I think most Pokemon fans are like, this is really good.
Yeah.
So I just find that really interesting, like the divide there.
Yeah, I've played like, I don't know, I think about like 30 or 40 hours of this.
Oh
Um,
wow, okay.
yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think I got to a point where I was like, oh, I've seen a lot of the game, but I'm kind of like, it's kind of still very bare bones at the moment. So I'd kind of want to
Yeah.
wait and maybe wait for them to add some more content because
You,
the main meat of the game is, um, it starts off and it's like you need to go and fight this. I think it's Zoe is the name of the first boss with the electric guy
oh
with the Gatling gun. It's
yes, I
like
believe so.
you need to go and
Yeah.
fight them in a tower. And it's like, oh, I went and fought them and immediately died. And I was like, oh, there's this giant mammoth that I want to capture and I can't. And I was like, okay, I need to grind. I need to fight the first boss and I need to get a gun. That, like, literally, I was like, I'm just going to keep playing this game until I get a gun because that's what I've been waiting to do. I want to shoot Pokemon with a
Yeah,
gun.
you wanted a glizzy.
And I got a gun and I defeat the last boss. And it's like, well, what do I do now? Well, you fly around the world, and it's kind of like a generic Unreal Engine 5 world, and you just go to
Yeah,
another tower and you
not
fight another boss. And it was like, oh, okay. I'm going to play something else, you know?
yeah, you enjoyed the meat of like the stuff. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, you aim for more to
I
do
got I got
with the
like a
mechanics.
lot of
Yeah,
enjoyment out of it, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay, I understand this game. I've had a bit of fun with it.
Is,
Um,
is that 30 hours in just one world? Like, did you like start again
just one world.
slightly differently? Just one world again.
So for multiplayer, you can't carry your character over. You have to start a brand new
No.
character. So I was playing single
Yeah.
player, and originally, so I've played multiplayer with my friend Jesse because he's also got the Games Pass version. But the Games Pass version is a different version of the game to the Steam version. Because my friend Halo Andy, he bought the game on Steam and he wanted to play together. So I tried to join him, but there was no cross play between the Games Pass version and Steam right now. So we couldn't play together, sort of thing, which is kind of a shame. Because I heard it's a common issue that so if you're going to get Games Pass, know that a lot of the time multiplayer games won't have crossplay with the Steam version, and because of certification issues, the Games Pass
Well, the
version
update
is usually an
was
update
behind.
behind or something. Yeah, because
Right.
basically with Steam you can just upload the update whenever you want, but on Games Pass you basically
Yeah.
have to get Microsoft's permission to upload an
And
update
they
for the game.
and they do it in like cycles and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Graven came out of early access, and it has mixed review. I own this game. I have not played it. I was waiting for it to come out of early access to
Oh,
play
it's
the full
mixed, is
thing.
it? Okay.
Yeah, so it's from Slipgate Ironworks, and 3D Realms is the publisher.
I saw some people
Um,
talk about it and really liked it. I'm
So
surprised
look,
it was
after 3 years in
mixed.
early access and now with this 1.0 release, this game is still unfinished. It's very obvious, and at some point Graven was envisioned as some sort of RPG or perhaps immersive sim, but the devs didn't manage to go through with their original plans. Areas are sprawling with nothing in them, in the same way a coloring book shapes are unfilled. Assets completely reused in placeholder kind of way. Enemies respawn in nonsensical ways. Puzzle logic is not coded properly, so on and so forth. It's a real shame. So I think what happened was they kind of rushed it out the door at the end, it seems like. I know that there was like a big layoff at 3D Realms, I believe. So a lot of people have been laid off there. So maybe that affected this game coming out.
Issues.
Yeah. It's a shame to see.
That sucks.
I still plan on playing this game at some point, though, to see what...
Maybe down the line there'll be...
Enshrouded came out, which unfortunately released like a week after Palworld came out. So...
Oh no.
Everyone was like, another survival crafting game. I think it's still done pretty well, though. I think there was enough people who were like...
That's decent reviews, yeah.
I think enough people were like hyped for this because it's got that like Valheim crowd where it's very much like almost like PSX sort of style of like simplistic graffiti with like heavy lighting and lighting and VFX and stuff like the particles and stuff like that. And it's a gripping enough like change where so I wish my friend streamed this for a bit. The idea is you are in this like medieval sort of mythical magical world and you have to build up your base, but you want to keep exploring, but there's a giant wall of fog you can only survive in for a certain amount of time. You're in it like it's like a shroud that is around you as a player. So you basically the core like driving force that pushes you forward is like, how do I get through the shroud? How do I become stronger? What's in the shroud sort of thing, it was just quite intriguing. You know, I wish Palworld had something that was more like, oh, there's something really interesting that I wanted to keep going, you know? Tekken 8 came out, and it's very positive from what I've seen. It's Bandai Namco, right? Yeah. I don't know. I think if I was going to play I'm not a fighting game guy. Like, I like platform fighters. Like, I like Smash, and I like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and Multiverses.
Right.
But I think in terms of, like, classic fighting games, I would be much more of a Street Fighter guy, because from what I understand, Street Fighter is a 2D fighting game. There is one plane you fight on, and then Tekken, you can, like, step in and out of, like, the foreground and the background, which I think would just really annoy me. That being said, I've never played a Tekken game other than briefly playing one on like the PSP. So yeah,
I think as well, like for what Street Fighter was it 6 was the most recent? Was it 5? I can't remember. Whatever the most recent was, like I feel like 6. I feel like what they done there is like intrigues me the most as a fighting game to like get into and actually try and understand fighting games to actually be able to play them. So. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a bit of Tekken. Like, I don't know why I was getting recommended it. Like, I don't follow like any fighting channels, but I was actually getting recommended videos on it. But I guess it was a new release. So I saw positive things about it. So
we've had like a great. People are saying like the first month of January has been Japan month, because we've had Palworld from a Japanese dev. We've had Tekken 8 from Bandai Namco. We've had Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. We've had the Apollo Justice, the Ace Attorney trilogy came out. We've had Persona 3 Reload came out. And then we've also had, there was another game that came out as well. Is it Blue Link Fantasy or something like that? Grand Blue Fantasy Link came out this month as well, which is something I think people are quite hyped for. Let's have a look. Oh no, sorry, it's coming out. Yeah, it came out this month. Sorry, it's February now, isn't it? Yeah. And that's doing really well. That's got like I think it's sold over 1 million copies, and people are very positive about that as well. This is the game I'm talking about. But yeah, so speaking of Japanese games, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth came out, and a lot of people are complaining because Sega publishes both Persona and Like a Dragon, and the people are saying you released 2 really long RPGs like right next to each other. You had like a week apart of like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and then the next week is like Persona 3 Reload.
Is there a crossover with both
They're
sort of
both
crowds would like play both of them?
they're both Sega published and they're both turn-based JRPGs.
Yeah,
So I
but
think
in terms of but would people who play one would definitely play, well, maybe not definitely, but is there like a big overlap between the two?
so
Like I wouldn't
I've only
imagine.
briefly played Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Like a Dragon Ishin, and Ishin is like the B-side story with the original protagonist Yakuza, and it's also a brawler game. Whereas from Like a Dragon 6, Like a Dragon, um, or as it was called, Yakuza Like a Dragon,
Hmm.
that has been turn-based. So they have completely changed up the formula, but I think fucking hell. Sega released 3 Like a Dragon games last year. They had
Yeah.
Like a Dragon Gaiden. The one from what I've played, you essentially play as like a fucking Spider-Man secret agent. Like if I showed you
Right.
footage, Sharon, you'd be like, "You're fucking Spider-Man in this game."
Okay. Okay.
Then you had
I'll take your word for it then.
Like a Dragon Ishin, which was like the samurai Like a Dragon game. And then there was another one, wasn't there? There was. I'm gonna have to look up the list of Like a Dragon games because there's like 50 at this point. It's getting hard to track. But they've just released this one, like straight after Like a Dragon Gaiden. So, because Like a Dragon Gaiden came out in like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, came out in like November. Yeah, in November. So you've gone from
Yeah.
November to January playing this. Like, how do they keep making so many of these like a Dragon Gaiden games when a lot of publishers and developers are struggling to get like one huge like these games are like 60 hours long.
I did see people say what I guess some of these games like very similar to each other.
Yeah, I think they like smartly reuse assets while also adding new stuff.
Yeah. I think some people complain about those. Like, I'd rather like play some of the older ones. Like, it's like kind of like you can't just release the same account. But I don't know. People, I mean, it's still like positive reviews. So like, some people must still, for their part, yeah, like smartly reuse.
I think this is one of the coolest like a Dragon games because you have the Japanese like Ichiban and the guys, but they're also in like an American Hawaii. So it's very much they'll go and talk to people in Japanese, but there'll be characters who just start speaking American. Speaking English, and yeah, Ichiban just won't be able to understand what the hell they're saying and stuff like that, which is kind of like an interesting dichotomy because you spend so much of the Yakuza Like a Dragon games having no idea what they're saying because they're speaking in Japanese. Because I think when I loaded up Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, it was like, do you want to have the audio track in English or Japanese? And I think almost none of the Yakuza games are subbed or are dubbed in English. They're almost all subtitled in English and dubbed in Japanese.
Oh, right, okay.
It's just like the recent ones that have been dubbed into English, and even then, they've been dubbing them like 6 months later. I guess like 2 months later it would be for this one because I think they just recently dubbed the Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. But yeah, like,
well, I guess the primary sales in Japan then is that now it's starting to pop off in like the Western sphere. Is that okay?
But I watched
the
the No Clip podcast quick look on this game and it looks really cool. I want to play this game now, like, because I played the brawler version of Like a Dragon and I was like, I wasn't sure about it. It was like an hour of cutscenes and like 5 minutes of gameplay, and it was very confusing because it was like a big lore dump of all the previous. Because apparently it touches all the previous games, and I was like, I have no idea what happened in the previous games.
Yeah.
But I think like the mini games and stuff, like you can play like Crazy Taxi in this game, and it's just ridiculous. I think I would like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. The mini games look really, really fun. I don't think anyone complain about the mini games. So.
Why can't I see reviews for this? Oh, there we go.
You're in Japanese. What's going on?
My crops
Okay.
on Don Doko farm doing well. Irrigation is the future. Oh yeah, this is the game that has a full up like Animal Crossing style
Oh
mini
yeah,
game
it is
inside
that
of it.
one. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I thought some people say
This
it's like, oh,
guy
I don't really understand why
recently
this is here,
posted
but
from Noxy Noms' 123 hours still playing. Game is amazing. Yakuza reached its peak. Bon voyage. I can play Sims inside Yakuza now. Yeah. Oh yeah, but when I played the brawler game, Tony, Like a Dragon Gaiden, I was playing with a mouse and keyboard, and apparently it's a
right.
famous meme that I think it was when they did Like a Dragon or Yakuza Kiwami Zero. It pops up on the screen saying real Yakuza use controllers, or yeah, real Yakuza use gamepad. So if you ever
Right.
post on like the Steam forums, everyone will just reply to you saying, it's like, I'm trying to play some mouse and keyboard. Does anyone have any tips? And people will just reply saying, real Yakuza use a gamepad. And I was like, everyone seems to be being quite rude to people who are playing a mouse and keyboard. I was like, oh, I didn't understand it was a meme. Like it's literally like inside the game on the PC re-release of Yakuza Zero.
It's just a meme, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe I think if I'm going to go back again, I'll try it with the gamepad because I wasn't enjoying it that much on the mouse and keyboard. Even though the mouse and keyboard controls are not bad, it just
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll try the controller again. Next up, we have Apollo Justice to the Ace Attorney trilogy. So this follows the rookie attorney, Apollo Justice, and his mentor, the legendary Phoenix Wright. So they just released the trilogy of the Phoenix Wright from like the DS games, and you can now play the next trilogy from Apollo Justice. I got the Phoenix Wright trilogy recently because I got it in that, but I got Spin Rhythm XD and Homebody recently.
Oh, that same bundle.
In that bundle I got I was like, oh, I can get Apollo Justice. And I'm like, well, I want to play more Japanese games. Let's try the Ace Attorney games because I've never played an Ace Attorney game, so I'm wondering what they're like. So I'm going to be interested to see how this one holds up. It seems like people, like this game and they like the port, so it seems pretty good.
Yeah, it's good to see. Yeah, I'm always curious about these games. I don't know if I own them, but yeah, I do want to play them at some point.
So Phantom Abyss has left early access on January 25th. It's also available on Games Pass, apparently. And let's see what people are saying. 1.0 update sort of killed the vibe for me. Lots of changes, and they're worse than the previous versions. Jesus Christ, I didn't think they could be worse than the previous versions. Like, they've done some updates to this game where they kind of killed the game previously, so I'm wondering what they changed now. In its current state, offers very little reason to try new whips once you find the ones you like. In the previous version of the game, you spice up a run, I could try a new whip, and because the whip was cursed, it adds new extra challenge. Oh yeah, so when I used to play, you would have a cursed whip, and it would like have a positive and a benefit, and then once you won the run, it would get rid of the curse. Yeah, and the reward for winning with the curse was a non-cursed version of the whip. You just had the unique whip benefit. In the current version of the whip has a 3-level challenge to complete, then you have the new whip. And the whip power isn't even exclusive to that whip. For some of them, the power can be obtained as upgrade statuses that are at the end, sometimes beginning of a level. New runs have this thing where at the end of the level it adds a random challenge to your run. You have no control over which modifier you get, and some are way worse than others. Sometimes runs feel very easy because you get lucky, and others feel shit because you get bad luck. Yeah.
It seems like updates have kind of gone backwards then on the version that we saw.
Someone's saying with the 1.0 release, I think there's enough options in it now for casual players to enjoy the game and enthusiasts to challenge themselves. So yeah, it's a bit mixed. Some people are like, they've ruined the game. Some people are like, there's enough for casual players to come back and try it again. Like
from what I was watching you play like that one, like I wouldn't have said it was like noob unfriendly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, did they need to? I don't know.
Because I played the
shouldn't ruin the vibe.
Early access for 9.2 hours, and I was like, yeah, I kind of got everything out of this game. I got a couple of whips. I kind of seen what I wanted to see. I'm going to move on to something else. But It doesn't seem like from the 1.0 update they've added enough to be like, oh, okay, no, I have to jump back into Phantom
Well,
Abyss.
it sounds like they've just been tweaking stuff
It
instead
sounds like
of
it's just going to be
adding new
more of the
stuff.
same. So
Yeah.
Hellcard has been fully released now, Tony, the co-op deck builder. We played this in a Steam Next Fest co-op. I don't know if you remember, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember. It was great fun.
It was actually pretty fun, yes. Let's see what people are saying about it. It's got very positive reviews so far. Absolutely amazing game, which is only going to... so this is an early access review. Let's have a look. Some of the most well-made, most balanced and beautiful deck builds ever seen. The played are seldom replayed due to their failure to pass an important visible test. Are they different enough from Slay the Spire to pull me away from it? Like it or not, that's the bar you've got to clear. When you're stepping into a genre with whose your text is so evergreen and so infinitely replayable, thankfully Book of Demons Hellcards does clear it. It gets the fundies right, many viable builds, clear card rules, and a readable UI are present. But its central gimmick is actually that it's kind of a genre mashup owned to the assets that it's sharing with its sister game from the same studio, the ARPG Book of Demons. So yeah, big fan of Book of Demons. Think it's a really cool game. This incestuous development relationship gave Hellcard many favors of origami-like skeletons and imp assets to use, and boy does it use them. Hordes are used on enemies rather than individual strong baddies, which gives Hellcards a focus on crowd control and target prioritization to a higher degree than its peers. It's satisfying, strategic, and tickles that itch extremely well, and yet its play again button isn't as attractive as I would hope among its other virtues. The crumpled on this otherwise enjoyable paper crafting deck building roadblock is just how fatiguing it is to play. Average run duration can easily cross the 100-minute mark, and many of those minutes aren't as strategic as the others, thanks to prolonged fights that are over well before you hit the victory screen. I enjoyed my time with Hellcard, but that enjoyment is past tense. I think it's worth a penny, but maybe not the infini play that these other meter-based progression hooks and stacking difficulty options that it's capable of. Oh, this is a long review. People are saying the co-op's good, which is nice to see. I might pick this up at some point. How much is it? It's £15 off sale, £12 on sale. So that's already a very good price.
From what I remember,
it's Steam Deck verified.
Oh, huge! I remember of like the of the demo, like the co-op stuff, like passing stuff and like thinking about it. Oh, who should I target? It was like I find it very interesting. I thought that was really cool.
God, we're like an hour in and we haven't even got past releases. Dominion has come out. So I believe we played the board game Dominion a lot in person. And there's actually...
It's a lot of fun.
It's like it's sort of like a deck builder. It's like
absolutely.
You essentially have to buy buildings in order to earn more money, and then you also have to buy victory points. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points wins. It's a really fairly simple deck building game you can play with friends. And I think my friend who had the board game was like, I tried to look up on Steam and there wasn't a Steam version of it, or there was, but there wasn't like a great version of it. And it looks like they finally released one and it seems quite positive, so that's cool to see.
It's nice to have that online because it's sometimes you can't always play in person, so
look, Dominion, the deck building game, says everything I wanted. You can buy different expansion packs, play against bots of varying difficulty, or play online against others, a feature I haven't tried yet. I played on the Steam Deck, and though I did lower the settings to normal, I haven't capped it at 30 FPS. The game does crash if you move as fast as the bot. I'd say it crashed about 4 times on me since downloading. A patch should hopefully come out to fix this issue as the game was released 10 days ago, so otherwise it doesn't move fast and doesn't give a lot of hints of how to play if you're a new person. The Steam Deck touch controls work great with the game.
So is the base game...
The base game's free.
With then expansions? Okay.
Then you buy expansions. So this guy is saying the free version works well enough, though I really think the first edition base set cards should be included as well rather than DLC. The inability to customize a game's kingdom cards is just dumb and limits my patience with the game.
So you need to buy the £4.79 base first edition to get the normal. Okay, right, that makes sense.
Wait, so which one do you have to buy?
Whereas Dominion base first edition is near the bottom.
So So you have to buy this one.
Those are the cards I recognize. So
So what color the
at least some of them. Some of them are actually different.
The 6 cards removed
I
from
feel
the menu, and when it went to the first edition to the second edition, they were removed for a reason. But if you want them anyway, here they are.
Right.
But yeah, I remember playing with it, like villages and markets. I don't remember woodcutters.
Yeah.
I think maybe I played the second edition.
Yeah, I don't remember woodcutter either. But
interesting. It seems fairly positive. I might I'll add it to my library and I'll try the free version, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm curious. I wonder what, like, how does it, like, does everyone have to own the same DLC, I guess, or is it just the host?
I guess I would guess that everyone would have to own the DLC, but
Yeah,
maybe
because
I'll
like
just get the base
Solaris and
edition.
other games do, like, only the host needs to own the DLC, which I think is a much better system.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Persona 3 Reload came out on the 2nd of February, and man, I've been playing a lot of this. So it is a remaster of the Persona 3, which came out on the PS2, then came out on the PSP, and then the PSP version was remastered, I believe. And then it has been fully remastered in the like Persona 5 style now. Because like I think some of the monsters are like complete like copies of Persona 5 models in that sense, but it's still got stuff like they added ray tracing to this, Tony. But the way ray tracing works is really straight. So it's just ray traced reflections, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if you have a GPU that is capable of ray tracing, it turns it on. So it doesn't ask you. And the only way to turn it off is to go into the settings and turn off reflections, and then it goes back to like screen space reflections. It doesn't actually turn off reflections, it turns off ray traced reflections. So if you load up this game and you're like on like an AMD card or something, you're like, why am I getting bad performance? Like you may just be doing a lot of ray traced reflections without realizing it.
Yeah.
So if you have like a weaker, like a early 2000 card or like a early AMD card, you may want to. I know that there was this game is Steam Deck verified, and people are like, the performance is really low. I don't know why. The Steam Deck technically can ray trace. So this game was trying to ray trace on the Steam Deck APU every time you launched it. And then when people turned that off, they were like, oh yeah, my FPS went from like 20 to 90 now. Which is like a huge bump. And apparently there was a new Mesa driver out that made this game run way better as well. So you could also, I think that's been added to the preview branch for Steam Deck. If you're like wanting to play this right now, like as an early access, like I need to play this on my Steam Deck right now, sort of thing. So it's cool that Valve even went and like tried to fix this up as well, like because the fix basically with Steam Deck was like, oh, we're improving the performance of ray tracing, so you can even use the ray tracing mode and get better performance with this Valve fix as well.
But can we just have proper options menus? Is that too hard? Is that too much to ask?
Like well, I don't know. Atlas is very much like we're going to re-release the same game 5 times, and then you're going to buy it for like 70. How much is it? Base edition is like £60. And that's why I'm playing this game on Games Pass.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, it's going to cost me like.
Wait, is that more expensive than Resident Evil 4 remake? That's insane.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say if you're interested in playing this game, get a month of Games Pass. It's going to cost you £8 at most. You can get a trial for free for 2 weeks. You can get a trial for free from a friend, usually for like a month. There's even some trials you can get that should give you like 2 or 3 months free if you're like a new customer. So yeah, just look around. But yeah, if you're interested in this game, my recommendation is just play it on the Games Pass version for like a month.
Makes sense.
Yep.
A lot cheaper.
Then we have so this is the Suicide Squad came out, Persona 3, and then on the exact same day, the Suicide Squad came out. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. That's a very funny joke because in Persona 3, you summon your personas by shooting yourself in the head. I'm not making this up. That's actually how it works.
I swear, I'm not making this up.
When I found out, it was like, oh, you're a bunch of high schoolers that have to fight demons at nighttime in an hour that only exists for certain people by picking up guns and shooting yourself in the head. I was like, ah, yes, this all makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I swear,
Suicide Squad,
hilarious.
Kill the Justice League came out. I think it's safe to say it's had some mixed reception from fans and players.
Steam's reviews are the most positive across the whole of the internet. It's interesting.
I would say a lot of the discourse on this game has come from two facts. Those facts are, one, this was announced as a live service game ahead of time, and people are very against live service games right now, I think with good reason, but I think people were disproposed to pre-proposed to being against this game before it even came out. And then secondly, I think there's been a lot of criticism of the way the game looks in comparison to Batman Arkham City, which I don't necessarily agree with because they are completely different environments and lighting and stuff like that. And then, if anything, I would just say, man, Arkham City was a good-looking game back in the day, but this
it's also different as well. That isn't the entire discourse. That there's a lot more of like the bosses are really shit. The gunplay becomes really boring.
I don't know anything about the game.
Campaigns like 8 to 10 hours long, I believe. Maybe less than that. I think that's correct though. 8 hours. And it's like there's a lot of like there's like only like three. There's only three like main enemy types with like their modifiers on top of them.
Yeah.
And then just like and there's like 5 mission types they repeat over and over again, which is very game service like. So I do think that live service had actually hampered it to some extent, and there were issues of people like losing connection when they're trying to play single player. Like I don't know why you can't just make a single player game that doesn't require your servers. Like only need like the live service action if you're not playing by yourself. I don't know why we keep repeating this over and over again.
Yeah, like it's kind of shitty when you go and play a game and it's like, oh, the servers are down, you can't.
Yeah. Because I saw this like I think it was like December, November's time, or maybe before the content, the information came out November time, maybe, or December. Like people were saying like, oh, I went to like a preview of it, and I didn't think it was bad, but I thought it was alright. I thought that was like from what I saw from people I'm subscribed to, that's what I saw. And then it was releasing like, yeah, it is okay, but the mechanics do get degrading at time. Like I now have completed the game, I don't want to ever go back because the bosses are kind of shit. So I don't know. I think it would have been. I honestly think that if this game was built from the ground up to be a single player game or like a co-op game and not like a live service game, I think it would have been better. I think I do agree with that discourse or part of that discourse. But yeah, I think it's all right, but doesn't. I think it's way. I saw some people complaining. It's like why. I don't know why this game is based around guns. Like when you have more interesting kits based on.
Well, there's a guy called Boomerang. Kind of like throws a boomerang, so maybe you should throw a boomerang.
Well, only as his melee attack. Yeah.
Oh, there's like Harley Quinn's famous for her baseball bat. She should just hit people with a baseball bat.
That's only her melee attack. Most of it, all of it is like based on guns.
What's his name? Is it Deadshot or Killshot or something?
Deadshot, I believe. Yeah. What's the shark guy called?
Killer Shark? I don't know.
Killer Shark, yeah. Someone said it's like he's like people said like he might be the best one because because you can jump like his main attack is like attached to his movements, so, like you slam into the ground. But even then, it's like there's not much you can upgrade with it because it's all about guns.
King Shark.
King Shark. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a huge lore guy when it comes to comic books.
No, I don't know. Other than obviously Harley Quinn, I don't know much about the other ones.
I know Danny the Street and Bouncing Boy. They're my favorite superheroes.
Yeah.
And then finally turning. Oh, go on.
No, I'm just saying, like, a kind of disappointment. It could have been really good. I also it's Brainiac's the main bad guy. I should point out, which I actually quite like in this game. It looks really good, like the huge purple metal skull thing.
And Helldivers 2 came out 3 days ago, and Yeah, it seems pretty good. Not necessarily a game I think I would be playing, but I think it's been like one of Sony's best hits so far in terms of concurrent players. Like, I
Oh,
think
really?
yeah,
Okay.
it's sold like pretty well, and because this is a day one release on PlayStation 5 and PC, which is
Okay.
a new strategy they're trying, because this is more of like a live
Yeah.
service game sort of thing, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is like I would say like a Starship Troopers style co-op 3D shooter sort of
Well,
game.
yeah.
You sort of
Asymmetrical.
like I was watching my friend Martin play this because he was really hyped for this, and he sort of like you sort of
Yeah.
like drop pod in, and then you're like blowing up aliens and securing pipelines and stuff like that. And it seems like, yeah, it seems like a
That's cool.
Starship Troopers game basically. It just seems like a bit
Yep.
of harmless
Yep.
fun. I immediately looked at this and I was like, this seems a lot like Warframe, and it seems like a bit like, yeah, I don't know if I would personally play this, but for the
Right.
people that like this sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting to me. I might look at it.
But yeah, it's been doing really well. So we'll see if Sony wants to adjust their strategy for releasing games on PS5 and PC at the same time. We'll have to wait and see.
Famously, whenever Sony releases their games on PC, they always say how much better than they expected it would do. So
they just don't believe in PC.
they just don't believe, no.
Okay, let's move on to some quick news. Old School RuneScape is getting a official HD toggleable overhaul. So they are replacing the graphics renderer of Java to RuneTech HD mode.
Okay.
So RuneTech, I believe, is the technology they use for RuneScape 3. But they're basically bringing over the rendering API sort of stuff to the official client, and this will also be available on mobile. So if you play on like your phone or your iPad, because I have some friends who play RuneScape and they do play a lot on their mobile version, they'll be able to use these cool new lighting effects. Because from what I understand, there's been an unofficial client for RuneScape for a while called RuneLight, which is like very popular and adds these like HD mods. And there was a story I think we even talked about it a while ago, where Jagex was trying to stop the HD mod coming out because they didn't think it, was in line with old school RuneScape's values, sort of thing.
But then eventually, old school RuneScape players use it.
Well, yeah, but there was like, I think you could zoom out more, maybe, or stuff like that.
Yeah, you could do it more. It doesn't really give you much advantage, but sure.
But I think ultimately they decided to stop the pushback and allowed the mod to come out. And another thing about RuneLight was it had plugins you could add, like you could add different things to enhance the experience. And it's now cool to see that the official client is getting these really cool lighting effects. And it looks really great. And also there will be plugins as well. So it seems like the actual base RuneScape client is going to be coming up to parity with these third-party clients like RuneLight.
Yeah.
And it's also
I'm really curious though what the split would be of people using the old look to the new look. That's kind of curious.
And it's also for the mobile version, you'll be able to get a much better looking game as well, which is cool to see. I think it is.
Because you couldn't use RuneLight on mobile, right?
I don't believe so, but I'm out of my element here. I am not a RuneScape player.
I have no idea.
But I think it looks really good, and it's cool for the people who enjoy this game. And yeah, cool to see how much more powerful stuff we'll be able to get through in terms of like the official client with plugins. And yeah, looking forward to seeing more of this stuff. It's always cool because I know it's like fully toggleable, so you can be like, if you just want to make it look like the original old school RuneScape, you can have that. You don't have to turn this on; it's completely optional. But I think old school RuneScape is such a beacon of like, this is how you do like classic gaming. This is how you support your classic games. It's like, hey, we didn't like the new direction you took. We want the old version. They're like, okay, we're going to continue to support the original version. And if you want any more updates in that same vein, we'll add them for you, but you have to vote them in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you understand how the voting system works in old school RuneScape, but it's like, to get anything voted in, that you have to have like a super majority vote to even get it considered to be added in. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like massively in the player's favor, which is really interesting to see.
It's not. You can't just have like at least 50%. It's like I think is it
It's
it's
like 70 or something like
67%.
that.
Yeah, 70%.
But yeah,
So which makes sense because like you don't want to piss off everyone, right? So it's like you need to make it. Oh, is this something that people actually want? There is still some like silly buggery stuff where it's like, oh, we're gonna keep pushing the same thing over and over again to try and get what we want. But yeah, it's kind of an issue, rather. So
the Stadia controller has been reborn as a Nintendo Switch controller, Tony. So the
what?
Stadia controller, like for lack of the Stadia being like a stable service that people wanted to
Yeah,
use, people did actually genuinely quite like the controller, and they initially announced it
yeah,
was
that's
going to
what
be
people say.
like
That
a dead controller, and then after that point they were like, okay, we'll allow you to support it as just like a normal Bluetooth controller. But it seems like there's a third-party company called PXN that has bought and is reusing the molds that we used to make the Stadia controller, because
right.
they look
Take out the factory.
very similar.
Yeah,
But it's like
they swap the things over.
regardless
Okay.
of how the final product seems to be pretty decent. There are multiple listings for this controller. We're not sure what the difference is, but reviews are pretty positive, and the pricing under $25 is not a bad deal for a wireless Switch controller. There was a lot
So
Google didn't get
look.
right with Stadia, but the controller was one of the things we were always fond of. The design was unique and very comfortable in the hand, which is why it was good news that Google unlocked support for Bluetooth when Stadia was pulled offline. And it's great that that design is now living on. Let's move on to Emulation Retro. I don't know if you've seen this, Tony, but there's a brand new mod or demake or a 3D version of Celeste now called Celeste 64, created in a week-ish by the actual Celeste team. So to celebrate the game's 6th anniversary. So they were like, oh, what can we do to celebrate the game's 6th anniversary? Why don't we make an entire new version of the game as like a 3D mod sort of thing? I'll show you some gameplay now. It's actually pretty cool. One thing I did see a lot of people saying was you need to immediately understand you can climb in this, because apparently you can't climb in the original Celeste. And the very first obstacle in the game is like you need to climb up a cliff face, and people were very confused because they were like, well, it has all the mechanics of Celeste. What am I supposed to do? I don't understand where I'm supposed to be going. So apart from that small hiccup at the beginning, it seems like they've made a 3D version of Celeste. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks great. Okay.
Celeste 64.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
And it's a free download on itch.io, and you can also download it on Steam Deck. So yeah,
fantastic. Okay.
As we move on to mod news, Bloodborne Cart has put out a statement saying Sony has contacted them and has asked them to scrub the Bloodborne branding from Bloodborne Cart.
That makes sense.
So the creator has delayed the game's launch after being contacted by Sony, and it will come out as a kart racing game that is not to do with Bloodborne. So we'll see how that turns out, because I think
they should call it Crimson Birth.
Right.
Kart racing.
I think like a lot of interest from people for this mod was, it was like, oh, it's a kart racing game that's Bloodborne. That's going to be really interesting. I'd be surprised to see how well this mod does without the Bloodborne branding. I think that was a lot of people's interest in it.
Yeah, but surely you just put in the description inspired by Bloodborne.
I think you're going to need to do some pretty substantial changes though to even release this in its. It's not just like they can go, oh, this is Father whatever. It was Father John, now it's Father Steve, and just keep it completely the same. They're gonna have to remodel like stuff and change the environment.
I don't know. I don't think that's ever been proven in court that they could do that. That'd be very risky from Sony's part.
They've already been contacted by Sony's legal team, so I'm assuming at this point they're gonna want to try and change stuff.
If they've, oh yeah, for sure. If they just want to remove Bloodborne branding, to me that implies it's a lot of just like the copyright names they actually own, like Bloodborne, which they do have a trademark and They just trademark their own for it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much needs to be changed. I think it's still worth checking out.
Bloodborne is From Software, isn't it? So they
Yeah,
own it in part with
but Sony
Sony.
publishes it. Yeah, Sony
Okay.
publishes it.
Right. Because it's only ever been out on the PS4, right?
Yeah, for I think no, because they like Demon's Souls got a PS5 remake, right? And then Bloodborne hasn't.
Bloodborne is like trapped in the PS4, and every single state of
Yeah.
play, everybody in the chat is typing, "Please re-release Bloodborne." Like every single time.
Yeah. Bloodborne, please.
Then
Or Bloodborne 2.
RTX Remix is out, Tony. So we have Max Payne
I saw
RTX Remake is one of the ones I saw. I think it is definitely, there's the path traced, ray traced version of Max Payne definitely looks like interesting, but it's like also kind of takes away from the original game's appeal, I feel like. Like the original game is very
I think
dark and gritty, but this is like almost very like bloomy and bright.
Yeah, I think there's some tweaking required to match the artistic vision that makes sense. But I don't know. If it's like a first pass, I think it's quite impressive. If it's if this was the final, I don't know. Is this meant to be like the final? I don't know, but I would like to see more done to it to like try and match the artistic vision.
Tomb Raider RTX remix. Someone's made an RTX version of Tomb Raider. Which is pretty cool. Which the Tomb Raider remaster from, is it Aspian Media making it? Comes out in like 3 days from now.
Oh, does it? Okay, I'm still looking forward to that.
Valentine's Day is when it's coming
out.
out.
It's Valentine's Day release, is it? Okay,
for all of them Tomb Raider lovers out there.
I think there's a lot of them. I think there's quite a few.
So Tomb Raider 1 to 3 remastered, They have that like toggleable mode where you can switch between like the original graphics and like the new fully 3D polygon models sort of thing, which I'm hyped to. I've never played a Tomb Raider game, so I'm hyped to try them out at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, next we have gaming handhelds. Capcom has added Enigma DRM to Monster Hunter Rise, which is basically completely broke it on Steam decks. And a hotfix was released that addresses the issue of Monster Hunter Rise not running on Steam Deck. So they pretty much were like, they bricked it on Steam Deck by adding this DRM, and they're like, shit, it doesn't work on Steam Deck. So then they had to like immediately issue a hotfix. I don't know what the fuck Capcom is doing.
Adding DRM so late into the cycle?
I don't know what they're doing.
They've already sold so many.
DRM. It just doesn't make any sense.
They've sold so many units. Like, I don't know what they're worried about. Like why are you spending this money? Like, you're spending development money and time to like and licensing to implement this. Like, what are you doing?
And then we have Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is now fully Steam Deck compatible. So that's cool to see. May not be the best way to play those games, but it is an easy way to get those games up and running on your Steam Deck.
I suppose, yeah.
Right. Then we have...
There are other ways, though.
Blunders? Oh, Tony. What is Love Life School Idol Festival 2 Miracle Live? I immediately read this and I thought, well, this is a game I'm not going to play. But you have to understand how fucking hilarious this announcement is, Tony. They announced that in February 2024, it was going to be released, and in the same sentence, released in May 31st, 2024, it would be ceasing production and closing. Like, this is insane.
What?
Like, that's that's the span of a couple of months. Like, in the same announcement post they made, they said the game is coming out and closing within a couple of months in the same announcement. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. This is like unprecedented level of
coming out, but there'll be no support. Is that what? How the hell does that work? I don't understand.
It's closing its door and will cease all in-app purchases after a couple of months. Okay. So I think this game might already be out in Japan.
Oh, right.
But it's coming to the Western market. But the game is already planned to be closed like a month after it comes out, which is like so strange. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't even know what this game is. Apparently, it's a official account for rhythm, action, and adventure games for smartphones. Love Live School Idol Festival 2 Miracle Live. Yeah, what do you think of this, Tony? Announcing that a game is going to come out and be closed down in the same post.
I would, if you're gonna say it's gonna be closed down, I would like it to be, oh, and here's some dedicated, because like you need, like, it has to be like online stuff, right? Or was it like single player elements?
This is,
like,
I'm going to guess this is a gacha game. It looks like a gacha
exactly
game.
So surely you need their servers to work.
I don't know.
I don't know. If you're gonna announce that, like, you put some work into making it work offline, that'd be great.
This is an absolute record for an end of service announcement I've ever seen.
Speedrun.
It's a speedrun. So Tony, Rocksteady, I got Suicide Squad. An hour into early access after players' game auto completed, they pulled the Suicide Squad. So I don't know if you know, there was a bug that when you played the Suicide Squad, it was automatically completing the game for you with no way of going back to having it uncompleted. Yeah.
What? Okay.
So they had this. So they had like an early access thing where you could pay to get into early access. Then they had the servers go down. So you couldn't even play in the early access. And then I think they were having server issues as well. So you couldn't play your single player game because the servers were offline.
It has to be online, which is so dumb.
They also didn't give any review code to IGN after they gave an honest negative preview review. And then they also added de novo DRM at the last minute before the game launched.
There was so the BBC, like, they talked to like game reviewers. I can't remember who they talked to now. It wasn't IGN, it was one of the other big ones. I think it was like PC Gamer or something. And their official response to the BBC was like, we haven't done a review yet because we were given it too like we weren't given it early enough to do a review. It takes time for us to do reviews, so we're not releasing it until we're done. Right. So that's why, because like the big discussion with this game release was like, there's no reviews out for it yet, which I thought was insane.
Let's move on to tech news. Introducing NVIDIA RTX video. I don't know if you've seen this, but one of the recent updates for the driver updates for NVIDIA cards is that you can now, you know how they were doing NVIDIA Super Resolution?
Yes.
To add more detail using AI to streamed videos. They're now doing that same thing to add HDR to videos. So it's transforming SDR videos into HDR, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see the effects, but like my understanding is like just like you're just mapping. There are more kind of ways to do this, but a simple way that does work, and like it's not maybe the best way, but it is a good way. It's just like mapping like the full spectrum of SDR onto HDR, and that's good enough to like just get the full light spectrum of your monitor.
I have like 3 different HDR displays, and I don't have them turned on because they're like gamer HDR. They're like fake HDR sort of thing. But I have a new monitor coming in like at the end of this month, and I will test this out because I'm probably going to try HDR on that.
I have 1000 nit HDR monitor, and I can't properly use it. So, but I have other issues why I can't use it. So it's not actually going to be
HDR support is all over the place. Like, and the thing is, recording
my
HDR
problem
is
comes from
where can you even put HDR video?
Yeah, I don't know. But I have a problem with that. I can't even like enable it because like the way because I'm using my super ultra wide as 2 separate monitors. It doesn't allow HDR when you have it in that mode. It's just like, okay, sure. So,
but NVIDIA
maybe one day I'll
RTX
experience
Remix
HDR properly.
Open Beta is out now. This was on June 22nd, as we talked about earlier. They were giving examples of like DirectX 8 and 9 games that could get. They were like, oh, these games could easily be turned to an RTX remaster. And the ones they listed were Call of Duty 2, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, Gary's Mod, Need for Speed Underground 2, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and Freedom Fighters. I was like, Gary's Mod and Freedom Fighters are not two examples of games I was expecting Nvidia to come out and be like, yeah, you can put an RTX remaster on this thing. But yeah.
Doesn't that... Okay. To me, that implies it's more limiting than they were originally claiming. If that's the selection that's
No,
the
this
full
is just
selection that they're saying is easy.
no, this was just like random.
Yeah, but yeah,
examples
I know,
they were
but
picking.
they chose those examples, is what I'm saying. Like, to me, it's suspicious.
They've partnered up with ModDB and they've created community resources to see the list of compatible games. So if you want to look at all of the games that are compatible, you can head over to ModDB.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
think
tools are out now and
what I
people are
wait for
making
is
stuff
people to
already.
actually use it. I'm curious, like how quickly people use it and how easy it is to
Well, we
use.
already have
I'm
the
kind
Tomb
of
Raider
wait for
and
that.
the Max
Yep.
Payne stuff. I mean, I'll have a look at ModDB.
Half-Life 2 stuff use it, right?
Let's have a look. RTX status. We've got Postal 2, Max Payne, Freedom Force, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Flat Out, Trackmania. Gary's Mod is apparently... TF2 is playable on Remix. Has anyone actually made a mod for this, or is just saying it's compatibility? Wait, sorry, I saw Garfield Kart for a minute there. Where was that?
It's in the middle. Wait, it's the middle of the screen. Yeah.
Playable! Boots has valid graphics, and you can reasonably complete the game. Okay, hold up, wait a minute. RTX config for Garfield Kart. Okay. Garfield Kart RTX. I cannot believe this. Finally, we have Garfield Kart RTX, Tony. I have got to download this and try this. This is so funny. So how does Gary's Mod and like TF2? I want to... Surely TF2 you're going to get banned for using mods. I'm releasing an early
just
version
graphical
right
driver
now.
stuff, though.
How does this even work? This is taking me to the TF2 page. How do I go to... I'll have to look at this later because there's so much stuff that I would never think about, but is now completely playable.
Yeah.
With this RTX remake stuff, so that's really cool to see. Let's move on to business news before we get to the big news of the week, Tony.
Yep.
Disney to take a 1.5 billion stake in Epic Games, work with Fortnite Maker and new content. You were talking about the mouse taking it, getting a big chunk of cheese in Epic Games.
I guess they're not fully adding it. It's just a stake, just a piece. Yeah. Quite a big piece. I can't remember how much Epic Games is worth now. So
it's got to be more than 1.5 billion. That's for sure.
It's a lot more than 1.5. I know that. Is that good?
Disney previously collaborated with Epic to bring characters from Marvel, Star Wars, The Night Before Christmas, Tron, and more to Fortnite. And it seems like they want to keep working with them in the future more. So that's cool to see. So apparently CEO Bob Iger said Wednesday it's the biggest bet on the gaming space.
So the 2022, they were 32 billion. I don't know what they are.
IGN workers are unionizing. The IGN Creators Guild announced 85% of eligible editorial and creative employees at Games Media Outlet have already signed union cards. So we're seeing the first... I think this might be some of the first game journalists unionizing we've seen in a while. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, from like big companies for sure. I don't know about some smaller ones which are more cooperative, but yeah.
It's unionizing with News Guild CWA and said it expects IGN parent Ziff Davis to voluntarily recognize the union, much as it voluntarily recognized its workers at Mashable and PC Mag when they formed the Ziff Davis Creative Guild in 2018. So it seems like the Mashable and PC Mag journalists over there have already unionized and they've already recognized that. Which is pretty cool to see. Yeah, cool to unionize.
Yeah, hopefully we see more of this. Hopefully
So we've had a statement from Subnautica recently after there was news on Subnautica 2. I believe it was in like a shareholders meet or something. Basically, they were saying, yeah, Subnautica 2, it's going to be a live service game with battle passes and somewhere. And everyone was like, what the fuck is going on? So Subnautica put out a statement saying, no, Subnautica 2 is not going to have season passes. There will be no battle passes, no subscriptions. It will not be a game as a service, but there will be optional co-op. If you want to play it on with other people, you can.
right.
But yeah, it seems like their publisher Krafton was trying to just generate more money by saying it was a live service game when they were just adding co-op to it. Which I guess they kind of misrepresented the game, I guess. Misrepresenting things to shareholders is legal. You should not do that. This is not legal advice or financial advice, but I believe that is called fraud. Next up, we have Ubisoft was disappointed by Assassin's Creed Nexus VR sales, will not increase VR investment. They're saying that the game did not sell as well as they expected. I mean, the Assassin's Creed game on the Meta Quest seemed pretty cool, but they only released it on the Meta Quest 3. So, I mean, they would make a lot more money if they released it on Steam VR. You released
just
it on
release it and let people try and run it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is Ubisoft. I forgot they're allergic to Steam.
Is that the problem? They'd rather take They'd rather take a 100% cut of less than a 70% of more.
And
not they actually have more than that, but
speaking of RuneScape earlier, RuneScape's been bought by another private equity firm. I believe they've been bought by like 4 different private equity firms at this point. So I think most of the people over like RuneScape fans are just like, yeah, whatever, it's another private equity firm. I think this one's Swiss this time instead of, I think they had Chinese investors before or something. Yeah,
but I assume that the Chinese investors couldn't own it as easily anymore after like the the Chinese government like hating gaming.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's move on to main news. We have Palworld, Tony. So Palworld came out. It sold like 8 million copies. It's one of the biggest games of the year. Palworld won't have dedicated multiplayer servers on Xbox, but devs are fighting for it. So the Steam version is like an update ahead. And it also has like dedicated servers. And it just seems to have a lot more features than the Xbox version, like the Xbox console versions, which are kind of all over the place. Like they're not like a solid 60, and the Series S version of this game is very like questionable. Also, Tony, this is like a Xbox exclusive when it comes to consoles. It's like there's not a PlayStation version of this. Like a lot of people, who are in the console war because they are dumb. We're like,
what about the Nintendo version?
Xbox fans are like, we've got Palworld and you've just got a remaster of The Last of Us 2, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, console war stuff is so dumb.
It sucks that both sides can't play each other's games. That's the real problem.
So the Palworld dev explains the Steam and the Xbox differences, missing features. We're really at the mercy of certification here. So this is what I was alluding to earlier, was the Xbox and the Microsoft Store version, so the Games Pass version, is missing features the Steam one has. One of my favorite features that the Games Pass version had was that it didn't have a quick game button. So if I wanted to stop playing, the feature was that I couldn't stop playing the game, even if I wanted to. I had to keep playing, you know. I had to Alt F4 out of the game every time I wanted to stop playing. They have done like a hotfix update sort of thing to add a quick game button, but I just had so many my friends trying out the game. They're like, "How do I leave the game?" And I'm like, "You can't."
How do you think you had to add a quick game button though?
The Steam version had it, Tony. So, like, there's like the game has DLSS, but I can't use it because it's grayed out on the Games Pass version.
Right.
It's not
Interesting.
available on the Games Pass version. Like no upscaling is available on the Games Pass version. Which I hope Microsoft changes their policy on updates and how
Well,
quickly you can release them for like, especially
yeah.
like single player games is kind of whatever, but multiplayer games like early act because they
Well,
have the early access stuff now. It's called like game preview on Games Pass.
you said for single player games, but what if it turns out is like you have this version up for release that turns out, oh, bollocks, for all AMD users, we're having this weird issue we need to put an update out for.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it might not critical, but it's like, oh, the performance is worse than it should be, sort of thing. It's like I just feel like there should be like exceptions when it's like, oh, a lot. Like there should be, if there's like huge numbers, at the very least, there should be like a system in place to like speed up the process.
But it's like we've seen this in the past where I think like Remnant 2, when it launched on Games Pass, it didn't
Yeah.
have like DLSS or any. I don't know if that game was ray tracing, but it definitely didn't have those DirectX 12 features that the Steam version did have.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is kind
very
of
odd.
I think they did update it, but it was definitely after the Steam version already had them, sort of thing. But yeah, I'm hopefully Microsoft kind of this speeds along the Microsoft certification process, because I think the game, especially the games like the Xbox version being behind, like they're completely different consoles, but
Yeah.
having a game on Games Pass PC and having a game on Steam should be the same thing, but it's not.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Palworld is skyrocketing. So apparently this prompted emergency meetings with Epic, who were doing the servers for Palworld. So Palworld hit a pre-configured limit on the back end of Epic services, and Epic had to manually allow more players to play the game. So many people were trying to play the game that they basically had to Epic had to have an emergency meeting, like, shit, we need to turn the servers up and let more people in. I don't know if you heard, like, Palworld has become the second most played game ever on Steam.
Yeah, I did. It's being so many. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Concurrent players. I mean, I think it's just behind PUBG, which is the most played game on Steam of all time. Yeah,
it's just insane numbers.
So
I know there's no hype beforehand. That's just insane.
So there was some information about the developer. So they're a Japanese developer, but they made a game called Craftopia, I believe, which was like one of their first games. But they basically
had on my wish list. You can put cows into lava.
You're a Craftopia enjoyer. I know some people were complaining because they said, "Oh, they've abandoned Craftopia to."
There's a lot of negative reviews for it now. Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a case of they've abandoned it, or it could, on the other hand, be they've just moved on to developing other stuff. It depends how you look at it. Maybe I'm uninformed, so I don't.
I can't. Is it an early access problem, or is it released?
Is it an early access right
now?
Yeah,
it's early access. That's the issue.
Okay, right.
So they should have released it before moving on to a product, in my opinion.
Because they've released, because Palworld is in early access.
Yeah. I would argue that you should only buy a game in early access if it's in the current state you want to play it.
Oh my god, I'm looking at a screenshot of Craftopia, and I'm like, this looks like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but look, have you seen like when they're going conveyor belts of cows into a cooking pot?
But yeah, so when Palworld came out, everyone was like, "Oh, it's copying Pokemon," and I started playing it. I'm like, "This is like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild meets like Genshin Impact style for a lot of it. Meets like survival crafting game, like a lot of what's it called?
Did I just say like
people are making comparisons to Ark a lot?
Oh, with Ark, yeah.
Survival Evolved, yeah.
It looks like Ark but good. Is that what we're saying?
I think people are saying it's just similar to Ark. I think a lot of
I don't like the look of Ark. I thought Ark was shit. So,
but yeah, anyway, They were struggling to find a dev with shooter experience in Japan before stumbling on a self-taught hobbyist who worked at a convenience store. So
How
they
does that go
basically,
down?
so basically, they were going to make the game in Unity because they were like, well, we made Craftopia in Unity. Let's just use Unity again.
Yeah.
So they had a $7 million budget, I think it was, from their first game sale. They're like, oh, we made Craftopia. Let's use this budget to make another game.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
And they initially planned to spend a year making Palworld, but then they soon realized it was going to take more than a year to finish. So they just kept hiring people to finish it. They hired like 10 people from Twitter. And then some dude that was... There was some dude that made mods for Craftopia, and he was a gun animation enthusiast. And they were like, oh, you're really good. Come work on our game. And they released the PV for Palworld to gauge interest in 2021. And a veteran engineer contacted them to work on the project, but he had zero experience working in Unity. So he was like, but they really wanted to hire him because he was experienced. And they were just they made the gamble, and they were just like, well, let's just make the entire game in Unreal then. If you're good at Unreal, you're a really good engineer. So they just made the entire game in Unreal Engine 5 with no idea how to make a fucking gun game after making Craftopia. So it's like a mix of monster collecting, survival crafting, and then like gunplay. And it's just like this hodgepodge of ideas that turns out to be one of the most compelling like early access things of 2024.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Like Palworld is just like the lightning in a bottle game where it's just like none of these individual elements should work, but somehow you've put them together in a very specific way to make them into something pretty decent.
It sounds like they found competent people that knew how to make those things work, and then had people at the higher, or people develop it from the top point of view, going, oh, how do we combine this together? So I think I didn't realize that their hiring practice was so unconventional, but I mean, if it works, I guess.
Like there's been a lot of stuff on like Twitter and stuff about Palworld. Like people are obsessed with this game recently because there's been a lot of people who've been like, oh, the game's really good, but there's been a lot of people who are very negative about the game, even going as far as saying like that because the CEO said he liked AI once, that all of the pals are AI generated. And there's been people who've straight up like put out posts saying, look, they've got like 3D models, and said they've completely imported these 3D models from Pokemon or something and copied it completely over.
Yeah.
To which point he admitted he completely made it up and completely doctored and edited the things.
Yeah.
It's like people are just trying to hate this game. Like it's so strange.
Yeah. As because I don't know if I'm I like some Pokemon games. I like Pokemon in general, right? I definitely see similarities, but like I see some people go, there's like a dark bird like type POW, and there's people say, oh, this is definitely this Pokemon. And like you look at the two, and it's like one they're kind of similar in theme, but one's a round blobby 3D thing, and one's like a thin like pixel art thing, and it's like yes, they're kind of similar.
PAL number 69, Lovander, is definitely not in any Pokemon game.
That's a unique. Sure. That's
that character.
I don't know how they managed that.
That character, I'm like, there's no way they didn't know exactly what they were doing releasing this as number 69. There's no way.
I saw people go wild about that one. Yeah,
people were going crazy
the way it
works. It was essentially like if you read his description, it's like Lovander like is constantly trying to mate with pals, and she will even try and mate with humans. And I'm like, okay, they know what they're doing here. But
I appreciate the honesty.
Another big thing that because what was it? I was talking to my friend, and he was like, "Oh, you know, these Japanese games are so horny all the time." And I'm like, "How could you be saying that when literally Baldur's Gate 3, the Western game, was probably the most horniest game, while also being the biggest game of the year?"
Yeah. It's not uniquely Japanese, no, not even slightly.
So we had a modder who made a Pokemon mod for Palworld. Has basically said Nintendo has come for me. But to be fair, this guy was
so ominous.
he basically was trying to make this like a paid Pokemon mod as well,
Yeah.
which is even more dubious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this was like such a stupid idea. Was to try and
Speaking of Pokemon mods, I'm so surprised there's like some form of a Minecraft Pokemon mod still existing. I'm surprised that's still going.
I'm assuming it's because isn't there an official
They
Pokemon thing for Minecraft now?
Yeah, there is well, but this was like the unofficial thing that got like shut down. But I think
Pixelmon, is this what you're talking about?
they remodeled everything to be like based upon it, but like their own thing. It's like called Cobblemon now or something.
Right. Okay. But yeah, so
But that's still going apparently.
Apparently, Nexus Mod not comfortable hosting Palworld Pokemon mods. So Nexus Mod PC Games End is uncomfortable with Palworld Pokemon mods on the platform for fear of a Nintendo copyright claim. You can download Palworld mods from Nexus Mods. They do have a Nexus Mod page, so there is some like quality of life stuff you can download for this game. I haven't downloaded any mods yet though.
But the Nexus is like famous for like if like so I believe. Do you remember? I think a few podcasts ago I was talking about like the Terra armor sets on Skyrim. Like they were a bit dubious adding that to the Nexus boss until they got like the written permission stuff. Okay, so they're like very like, oh, you're using someone else's IP. Like we need like an actual like sign.
One of the stories I remembered was there was a mod for Spider-Man. Miles Morales or Spider-Man on PC that removed the Transplied flag, and that got removed from the Nexus.
Yes. Yeah, that got removed.
So that's where they stepped
I can't remember which one. It was one of the Spider-Mans, yeah. Yeah, because like you can't just promote I guess hate speech is like the catch-all term, I suppose.
Palworld's put out a roadmap of what they're going to be focusing on. So currently they're focused on bugs, fixing those. Sometimes the world date may experience rollbacks. I personally experienced that. It was like, I've played for 70 days, and then I logged on again. It's like, you've played for 5 days. I was like, that's not true. But they want to key configuration improvements to base PAL, AI, and pathing, and plan future updates of PvP, raid bosses, endgame content, PAL Arena, PvP for PALs, Steam, Xbox crossplay. This is planned future updates, so don't know how long it's going to take until Steam Xbox crossplay is going to come out.
That is cool they're working on it, though. That's good to see.
Improvements to building systems, server transfers and migrations, new islands, PALs, bosses, and technologies. I was complaining about the fact that the interact key was hard-coded to F and I couldn't change it.
Yes.
Interact with E guy. Apparently, the last patch they put out, I read them, and it was like, we understand this is an issue and we're working on it. So they haven't fixed it yet, but they are going to change the hard-coded interact key to be able to be unbound from the F key, which is very good news to me.
Full rebindable keys. I don't know if that's that difficult to implement. I don't know how that implements, but I can't see that being that difficult.
The Pokemon Company has put out a statement recently saying, inquiries regarding other companies' games. We've received many inquiries regarding another company game released in January 2024. We have not guaranteed any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in the game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe our intellectual property rights related to Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon in its world and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future, the Pokemon Company. So I read this post and I said, oh, that's a really ambiguous statement considering the game has 0 Pokemon assets in it. And then I saw every single journalist article was like, Pokemon is going to completely DMCA strike Palworld and take. I'm like, it was literally a 1 paragraph statement they put out, and like people are talking as if this is the end of the line for Pal. Like
they would have to claim. The only way I could see this even being possible, they'd have to claim plagiarism on some of the pals that looks too similar to Pokemon. But that's a very expensive lawsuit for an unproven thing, and even then, it's like they're not.
I think this game,
even the pals, I'm like, oh, that looks similar to Pokemon. Like they're not exactly like the Pokemon.
So my overall thoughts on Palworld quickly are, I think the game is clearly inspired by a bunch of different games, like Pokemon, Breath of the Wild, Genshin Impact,
Some of the survival craft games.
Ark Survival Evolved, a lot of survival
Yeah.
crafting games. But I think at what point do you say something is copying something and something is
Yeah.
like inspired by something? Because I was like, you know,
Yeah.
before we had FPS games, we had Doom clones. And at what point does a game not a Doom clone, but it is an FPS? At what point is this?
But does Game Freak and Nintendo like own the idea of like low poly animals? Because that's what they're really saying. This kind of looks like Pokemon. It's like they don't own the idea of low poly animals.
No,
that's
because
crazy.
somebody made like a screenshot of every single PAL in Palworld and every single Pokemon. And they're like, hey, this looks very much like what's that game called? Pokemon and Palworld, and somebody was like, have you seen a game called Dragon Quest that predates Pokemon that has a bunch of creatures that look exactly like Pokemon?
A lot of their dragony things look like like Dragonite and
I'll
things.
send you a link.
Yeah.
And people were saying the Pokemon company doesn't own the rights to bats and centipedes and ducks and dragons.
They're basically simplified
and crabs
cartoony versions of
birds. It's like, yeah, I mean, you could easily doctor as a fucking thing to say, oh, Pokemon ripped off Dragon Quest, but it's like they didn't make the idea of making cartoon versions of creatures.
No.
So I think ultimately,
and again, even the ones that are similar, like aren't similar enough, in my opinion.
I think ultimately, Palworld is like a fun game for a while. Ultimately, with a lot inspired by a lot of different ideas from different games, but ultimately kind of lacks a soul overall. Is my idea of Palworld. Like it's fun to play for a bit, and then it's kind of like, oh well, why am I keep going?
Yeah, it seems to me they need to add more stuff to the board to like use these mechanics, right? Like more external progression outside the leveling up, right?
Yeah.
That's why. But that, to be fair, like from what I saw of their previous game, is that it's kind of like it looked like that it was what they were starting to add later on. So I'm kind of hopeful that we'll see more stuff.
Let's move on to our next main news topic. We have an Xbox Developer Direct. Oh wait, no. Palworld is spending £378,000 a month on service to ensure the service never goes down. CEO Takuro Mizube jokes Pocket Pair may go bankrupt due to server fees. Like, at this point in time, they're like, we are spending as much money as possible to make sure everyone can play Palworld constantly. So they're trying to keep the game going. But I'm wondering how popular Palworld will be in a month from now when the next big game comes out. I mean, with these big like games, sometimes they can be like flash in a pan sort of thing, where it's like, this is the biggest game for a couple of months, and then people go off and play something else, you know?
I assume you would scale down what you services and service you pay for at that point.
Yeah,
though.
I'd hope
I assume it's a monthly thing.
Because clearly they're making a lot of money now, and they're reinvesting it into the game servers, but hopefully, you know, they're not going to go bankrupt after they had such a breakout success with this game.
I have concerns that like they've made all their money. It's like there's not really an incentive for them to update it. I know they kind of are, and there is like some incentive as like a company to stay afloat. But there's no monetary incentive.
If I was working on Pocket Pair and I got sold like 8 million copies, and I was one of like the big head honchos over there, I would cash out and I'd just go fucking do something else. I wouldn't give a shit. I would like, I'll take my. If someone wants to buy the company, well, I guess I gotta go on holiday now.
You get the golden parachute.
But again, that's looking at it from the perspective of somebody's not, emotionally and financially invested in this. Like if
you want the company to carry on.
If this was my baby and this represented me, I would probably think very differently. But I'm talking about the perspective of an outsider,
like a purely business outsider. Yeah.
So we 100%. Have
Bobby Kotick.
Oh, fuck that guy. Xbox Developer Direct. Speaking of Bobby Kotick, he was hired by Microsoft very briefly, and then very briefly time between him being fired. We have the Developer Direct. We have the official gameplay reveal trailer for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I think we've been hearing about this for the first time in Tony. Machine games fighting Nazis again.
What did I expect?
I think the character rendering on this one is pretty good. I think like looking at like the sweat and the just how like wet from the heat like this Nazi guy is when he's like burying Indiana Jones. I think that sort of like stuff looks
I think
good. I think
yeah,
some people were complaining about how the faces look kind of dated overall. I think
I
Indiana
you know
Jones looks pretty good.
I don't think it's the faces. I think it's the facial expressions that make it look dated. It looks
Yeah.
slightly off.
So, because I was reacting live to this with some friends watching it, and I was like, "Oh, is that
Todd
in
Howard?
executive producer Todd Howard?" Yeah.
What? Oh no.
Well, this is a Bethesda published game, or Microsoft published now, I guess. Um, but yeah, so it's going to be young Indiana Jones because we had that Indiana Jones film that came out recently where they had
Yeah, old.
deep fake young Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah,
Next
for a
to old
few
Indiana
faculty
Jones because it's like
bits.
a time
Yeah,
travel
yep,
thing. But it seems
yeah.
like they're going with young Indiana Jones, which I think for a video game makes a lot of sense. Um,
Well, you can easily do that in a video game, right?
but I'm wondering if it's going to have an uncanny valley thing because initially I was like, I don't think that's Indiana. I don't think that's Harrison Ford because it definitely sounded like someone doing an impersonation of Harrison Ford, and I was like,
Yeah.
yep, that's somebody doing an impersonation of Harrison Ford. It is Troy Baker doing his best
Oh, is
Harrison
it?
Ford impersonation. Yeah. Um, so it's going to be a first-person game with puzzles and stealth elements, and then there will be third person for like climbing up pipes, and cutscenes will be in third person. So like swinging or climbing pipes a bit. So you get to see that you're Indiana Jones, but then for the gameplay it'll be first person. I think this is probably the best way to do it because I would much prefer it to
Yeah.
be a first person game, and I think
I
it
think
is
their
like
experience being first person
from like the good gameplay of
is.
like gunplay and stealth and puzzle stuff that they've shown from the Wolfenstein games, which are great from Machine Games.
Yep.
I'm hoping this
Yep.
is another great game. I'm definitely
It
going to
looks great.
be. I'll probably play this game on Games Pass this year when it releases. So excited for this one to come out. Looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And then we also had a trailer for Avowed. Did you see this, Tony? Because I'm really curious to see what you were thinking of this.
I have not
Um,
seen any of the stuff that came out of this, no.
Okay. Because they showed off there was
I,
4 different trailers. Because I just talked about the ones I was interested in. There was one for like basically like Civ 5 or Civ 6, which I wasn't that interested in. And then
yeah.
there was it Sasuna Hellblade Sacrifice, the new one, got shown off as well.
Number 2.
And then they had like a surprise guest of Square Enix came along. We're like, yeah, we're making a new Secret of Mana game or something like that.
Okay.
But they showed off gameplay, Tony, and I don't know if I want to color your impression of it, but I guess I kind of have to because I'm talking about it. But
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I don't mind. I can do
the
it my own.
gameplay didn't look great from what I see. Like they had this thing where you could use like wands and dual wield wands, and it looked really unimpactful. Like the actual combat, like dual wielding wands just looked kind of not great. And then the
I'd
actual
say
like
from the Sword and Shield stuff looks least a bit more impact to the animation.
also
they
they showed off like talking to characters and the facial animations, and it looked kind of awful. Like the voice of the voice actor and the actual model of the alien thing creature just didn't match at all, and it looked like really uncanny valley and unnatural. So I think for me personally, like Avowed kind of looks rough right now. Like I'm really unsure.
Yeah.
Like especially after playing the Outer Worlds and having like mixed opinions on that, I'm a little bit worried about Obsidian here. Like I know they have their bread and butter stuff, like Pillars of Eternity, and like people really love Pentiment, but that's very different from like a large scale first person RPG.
Yeah.
So I'm really like I adore Fallout New Vegas, but I'm really hoping they pull it together with this one because currently from the gameplay it's looking more like a Starfield than a Fallout New Vegas. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, they're saying it needs to be more polished, and we don't still really know anything about
But the lip sync looked off.
The
as
overall
well,
premise stuff, right? Like, we don't really know anything about the world or anything. So
it's a sequel to PoE. It's in like the Pillars
yeah.
of Eternity universe, right?
So it's like in this is like in the future PoE, or is it? I couldn't.
I can't say PoE because
I
PoE
don't know
is part
anything
of
about Pillars
Exiled
of
as well.
Eternity is the problem.
But they've basically said it's gonna. I think it continues on from the Pillars of Eternity story, but you don't have
Right.
to have played Pillars of Eternity to play this game.
It just is like future.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm wanting to give this game a
I'm
chance
concerned,
because I'll
but
probably play it
I'll give it a chance.
on Games Pass because I think it's coming out in fall of this year. But
Yeah,
who's to say how much
hopefully
I'll
they
play
can
of this?
polish it up. Because it definitely like there definitely is like impact and like feel of like combat is like a huge difference. Because like I think the idea of like freeing someone to death to then like make it easier to like stab them, I think is a good idea, but it needs to feel good to do that. So like there's like core mechanics that look or core mechanics that like I could perceive being good, but like it doesn't look well executed right now. I think I agree with you on that. It looks a bit rough.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Hopefully
problem with the
comes together.
the talking to people though.
I think immediately when I saw the key art for this game, me and my friend were immediately like, "That looks so fucking cool." And I think the internet is all agreed that the key art for Avowed just looks badass. I'll see if I can find an image for you. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll send it to you.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It looks sick. Look at this.
Yeah.
Immediately I was like, that's badass. There's like a little fucking... It's like this fungal skeleton, like a city inside his stomach. My immediate thought was
like
this
coral
AI...
fungal.
My immediate thought was like, this looks so cool, it has to be AI generated, but that's just how fucked my brain is in like current year.
Yeah, I would have said this was not AI.
No, but that's just
intentional.
I don't
decisions.
think it. I don't think it looks AI generated. It doesn't. He doesn't have like 6 fingers or anything. But it's just the sort of thing you would see from like Midjourney, like generate a skeleton.
Midjourney has some
fungal stuff in a dream style in like a city in his chest.
Because the AI has no concept of like what reality is, that it can just go ham, right? But yeah, to me, there's like, but after that, looking at it, like I can see like things like, oh, this is like someone's decided to put this here. It's like whereas AI is a bit more, oh, this is vaguely interesting, but then there's no, you can't then just like look at a point on it and go, oh, this is deliberate. But this looks more deliberate to me. I doubt they would use AI anyway. If you're paying for artists, why use AI? Yeah, I don't know. I'm so curious about it. But yeah, that combat needs to be polished up. I think from what I've seen, it's like I think mechanically, I think it's fine. It just needs to be more punchy.
Yeah, and also in the past couple of weeks, Phil Spencer's actually put out a statement saying, I don't know if you've heard about this, but he said basically they're going to be doing a business update event for next week. We're looking forward to sharing more details with you about the vision of the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. So there's been like multiple reports recently that Xbox or Microsoft is planning on bringing a bunch of their exclusives to other platforms, including PlayStation. So there's been reports that they want to bring live service stuff like Sea of Thieves to PlayStation, Hi-Fi Rush to PlayStation and Switch. And there's even been, so this is all complete rumors and speculation, but there's been reports that even stuff like Gears of War or Starfield would be coming to PlayStation and stuff, like big exclusive Xbox stuff would be going over to PlayStation. And this has got a lot of like Xbox fans worried, because they're basically like, is Microsoft moving out of the the console business and wants to be more of just a massive publisher?
But aren't they also currently under investigation for antitrust stuff? So is this maybe like a part of that to try and help with that?
I think they've finished with the FTC like stuff.
In
terms of the Activision Blizzard stuff.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. This is like a more general thing.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait until what Xbox puts out, but there's been a lot of reports of,
because I could imagine that they've been having a lot of complaints of like how is this in keeping, like, because like it's like you've like bought all of this up and like you're sure you're hoarding this to like make it more of a monopoly
Yeah.
sort of thing
I think
outside of
my
the buying.
perspective is you should never be against more people being able to play a game.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
as a PC player, whenever I hear, "Oh, this game's now playable on Xbox.
I
It was only available on PlayStation," I'm like, "Cool. This game is only available on Xbox. It's now on Switch or PlayStation, or whatever."
yeah,
I'm
it's
like, "Cool.
yeah.
I don't care.
You
Just
shouldn't.
let people
You
play the
shouldn't.
game
You
wherever
want
they
if
want
you
to play
like
it."
a game, you should want more people to play it from a
Yeah.
user's point of view, from a fan point of view. Yeah, for
I
sure.
think the main undercurrent though is people are worried that they've invested time into the Xbox system and like gamer score, and they feel like some sort of brand loyalty, and they're like, well, if they don't make another
Hmm.
Xbox, what am I going to do then? I'll have to basically start again on PlayStation or PC or Switch or whatever, which I guess is kind of understandable, but
Right.
again, you don't really
But
owe
they're selling
businesses
games though.
anything.
Do they care? Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh, I think there's always gonna like even if they start making consoles, sure they'll just like make Xbox like a PC thing though, where games go through their own online store. I don't know. I don't.
Well, the problem is if Microsoft stopped making Xboxes, there would be two console makers, and one of them is a very niche market, like not niche in terms of size, but people who buy Switch games generally aren't the same market that buy Xbox or PlayStation games. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
Microsoft was to stop making consoles and just be a publisher, Sony would be like the monopoly for like most AAA
Sure.
console games, I
I
guess.
absolutely, but I would still consider. I know, like historically, we're like, oh, PC gaming versus console gaming, but I honestly just consider it like another pillar. Like it's just like another.
Yeah.
It's a weirder console if you want to think of it as a console, I suppose. But to me, I still see it as competing with every single one independently.
Yeah. Well, we've got
So to me, it's like, is
speaking
it
of
because PC handheld gaming is getting a lot cheaper? Like I could see that becoming the new quote
yeah, I
unquote
mean
console.
Microsoft has said in the past they want to push more towards having a
Yeah,
more streamlined handheld experience
and
for
and I assume they'd
Windows.
make Xbox on like tablets or gaming, not laptop stuff. Like actual like that idea, like make more integrated. That if they were
Well,
gonna not make a console.
speaking of PlayStation, we had a PlayStation State of Play, and Tony, we've got a huge announcement: Sonic X Shadow Generations. It's finally here, Tony. For some reason,
Okay.
Sega is remastering Sonic Generations, which, in my opinion, is a very good Sonic 3D Sonic game. I actually really like that game, so it's cool that they're
Yeah,
remastering it. But I think it doesn't really need a remaster. I mean, there's some hacky stuff you have to do
I would.
to get it to run at higher frame rates, which I guess is nice if they. But the thing is, Sonic
Well, it could be an
Frontiers came.
update.
Well, the thing is, Tony, Sonic Frontiers came out because I assume
Yeah.
they just bring out the Hedgehog engine, and the Hedgehog engine is
Is
already
that what
capped to
it's
60
called?
FPS. Yes.
Right.
So like, and then if you try and mod the
No.
Hedgehog engine to run at 120 FPS, it completely breaks the game. So I'm assuming this is
Yeah.
also going to be coming out at 60 FPS.
Yeah. Also, like if you want an FPS like increase, if that's your only thing that like people about like that's historically an update, like a quality of life update.
But so with the announcement of this, we have it's a remaster of Sonic Generations, but it's also adding a brand new story campaign with Shadow fighting his old nemesis Black Doom. I have no idea who Black Doom is.
Who?
I've
That's
never
like
played I've never played Shadow with a gun, so I'm assuming that's where the deep lore is for that. But yeah.
I just love how edgy Shadow is. I just can't take it
I think
seriously.
most like people assumed that Sonic team had just completely forgotten about Shadow and would like just push him off to the side. But apparently, I think they're going to be working on a third Sonic the Hedgehog film, maybe with bringing Shadow into the fold. So maybe they wanted to make a game with Shadow in it recently to build up hype for the movie because the movies have been doing pretty well. Because
Right.
they had like Idris Elba as Knuckles in the second one.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
I
wait and
can't I
see.
can't believe there's a first one, let alone a second one.
I watched the first 15 minutes of the Sonic movie and then I turned it off and I never looked back. Maybe it's a good movie, but the first 15 minutes did not convince me. Then we have Silent Hill 2 combat reveal trailer. So we've seen a lot from just like the exploration of the Bloober team, Silent Hill, but this is more of a combat-focused version of Silent Hill 2. I've never played Silent Hill 2. I don't know too much about Silent Hill 2, but a lot of people are complaining that Silent Hill 2 is much more about an atmospheric, slow-paced, non-combat game. And then a lot of people who've actually played Silent Hill 2 were saying, no, the game actually features a lot of combat and it's also really bad.
Right.
From what I've heard, it cannot be worse than the original combat in Silent Hill 2. So yeah, I think this is one that we're just going to have to wait until this comes up, because this is going to be such a divisive game, because Silent Hill 2 is considered to be like the quintessential survival horror game. In the same way, like Resident Evil doing their remakes recently, people have been like loving those. So, and it would make sense
Resident Evil 4 especially,
because this looks very much like the new RE remakes in terms of how it's playing. So I think it would make sense for Konami to go, well, we have like one of the biggest survival horror genres of all time. Why don't we revive it?
It's not just the competency I have a problem with Konami, but I'm hopeful.
I mean,
it looks alright.
I liked the Medium from Bloober Team. Like, I actually really liked that game, so I'm excited to play their next game, especially considering it's such a big franchise.
Mechanically, I think they know what they're doing, so that gives me hope.
And then we also have Silent Hill: The Short Message. So it is a Unreal Engine 5 free Silent Hill spin-off out now on PlayStation. So they've made
this is part of the Silent Hill expanded universe.
Yeah, so it's got apparently it's the rumor is based on a early concept for a Silent Hill 5. But I don't know, because they did like a weird spin-off demo thing with Hideo Kojima years ago called PT. That was essentially you walked around a hallway in a loop. It's one of the most modded demos in the world. Because it's essentially not available on any storefronts now. If you had it downloaded on your PlayStation, you still have it, but you can't get access to it now on any digital storefront. So a lot of people recreate mods for it. But this is basically a new demo to go, hey, here's a brand new Silent Hill experience. What do you think of this? I guess it's just them trying out stuff that isn't just remaking Silent Hill 2. And I've seen mixed things about this. Some people seem to think it's pretty cool. Some people don't like it.
It looks outlasty in terms of.
I've not seen like any gameplay from this or like too much. I've seen like the Digital Foundry review from it, but it seems kind of not that great from what I've seen. I'm not
it looks like generic
won over by the trailer. But again, it's only available on PlayStation, so I have no way of playing this. Which is kind of a shame, because if it had a demo on Steam, I would just play it immediately and try it out. But, it's not. Then next up we have Judas. From the man who said he didn't want to make another Bioshock game comes from the creator of Bioshock, Judas. Like, it's so strange how Ken Levine was like, I'm not making another Bioshock. And then they released this trailer by saying, from the creator of Bioshock, the next Bioshock. And they released a trailer for a game that looks a lot like a next-gen version of Bioshock. Obviously I'm excited for this game because I love immersive sim games. And I think this looks really cool.
Not in the same universe? Maybe is that what they mean? Or is it actually
No, it's not in the same. This is Ken Levine left 2K. That he doesn't have the IP rights for Bioshock.
Maybe that's what you meant. I don't know.
But it's an immersive sim story on some sort of space station looking thing where you have to go around and kill crazy psycho people. It looks like a immersive sim, Bioshock sort of game. Like it very much looks like that.
I'm interested in it for sure.
Like it looks very System Shock in terms of this, like futuristic stuff. But I think it looks really fun, and I want to try it. So I'm going to be trying this one out when it comes out at some point. Then we have Rise of Ronin came out. I immediately saw this trailer. I was like, this looks a lot like Sekiro. But Rise of Ronin is like Ninja Team, right? They're the guys who did like Wulong Fallen Dynasty, which came out last year, which had like very mixed reviews because it had like really bad PC port initially. But I think they may have fixed it up slightly. Like it had a lot of like stuttering and like it was not designed for mouse and keyboard. It's like people are saying this looks very much like a mixture of like Sekiro and other ninja games and stuff like that. Like Ghost of Tsushima, Assassin's Creed, Sekiro. Like it looks like a hodgepodge of different things, but I think it looks really fun. I'm just wondering if they're going to release a good PC port of it. We'll have to wait and see about that because it looks like it could be fun. Like I love playing Sekiro, so like I'd love to play games like Ghost of Tsushima if they ever release that on PC, which I know has been like Ghost of Tsushima on PC has been rumored for so long, as a game that Sony would bring to PC, but I'm guessing we'll just have to. That'll come out after Bloodborne, I guess. Whenever that comes out.
It's that we're waiting for.
Yeah, it's the Star Citizen of Sony releases. Then we had, but it's March 22nd, 2024 is when this is coming out, but it's only on PS5, so low chance to actually play this one. Metro Awakening got a PSVR 2 reveal trailer. It's coming from Vertigo Games, the guys behind Arizona Sunshine, and it is being made in Unreal Engine 5. It is... I was like, I don't think you're playing as Artyom in this game, and I looked it up. You were playing as someone called Serdar, a doctor. Like, you play as Artyom through the, I believe, the mainline Metro games. I've only played Metro Exodus, the last one. But the cool thing about this, Tony, is it's Metro VR. It looks really good. Like, it looks floating hands. It looks very similar to Half-Life Alyx in terms of how it plays, which I'm like, that's a really good sign. And it looks like it has like good like it has like good like stealth element. It looks like a Metro game. Like there's a lot of like degradation and stealthing and getting trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic game. I mean, the biggest like post-apocalyptic like survival gunplay game is like I just had it in my head. I've just immediately Into the Radius is like a very popular VR game that's like that sort of vibe. But this game is also confirmed to be coming out on PC VR and Oculus Quest as well as PSVR 2. So that's really cool to see that we're not having to pick one system to play this game on.
Yeah.
Which has been the past.
And if you are a PSVR 2 user, it's still good because it's on your system as well.
They showed off another They showed off another PSVR 2 game, which I thought looked like a one of the early like 2016 VR games from like the Vive era. I was like, oh, it was like a medieval thing. I was not that impressed by it. But it seems like Sony is still trying with PSVR 2. They are trying to get games on PSVR 2, which is nice to see.
I saw some talk about it the other day. That's like they really liked it as like a system, but there's not enough games and experiences for it.
Yep. Then so here it is: PlayStation VR 2, MetaQuest, and Steam VR. And one game that I've been wanting for the longest time. I've been playing Supermassive Games, the Dark Picture Anthology, and the Quarry recently, and I've been talking about how like, I love these games, but I cannot play Until Dawn because it is completely trapped on PS4. The PS4 is unemulatable right now, and is also it's not available anywhere else. The only way to play this game is to get a PS4 or play it through backwards compatibility on a PS5. But we're getting an official remastering of this game, to which most people said, why does this game need remastering, or it looks really good? But it is a 10-year-old game, and it is only available on the PS4 right now, so it makes a lot of sense that they're now bringing it to a native remaster for the PS5 and the PC is really, really cool to see. I immediately thought, so they're going to get Supermassive Games to make this. No, they're getting a studio called Ballistic Moon to make it, which immediately I was like, why wouldn't you get Supermassive Games to make this? They made the original, but Ballistic Moon is a studio who is founded by ex-Supermassive employees who made the original.
Right.
Which is cool to see because
I was gonna say sometimes like it still makes sense to be something
I guess
because like just like engine stuff they need to do.
Maybe they asked Supermassive to do it, but Supermassive was like, no, we want to keep doing dark anthology stuff. Because Sony owns the IP to Until Dawn, which is why we haven't really seen any more Until Dawn stuff until now. Like I think it's been like literally almost 10 years since Until Dawn came out.
It's like the first unofficial like type of those games.
But yeah, I will be checking this game out because I've heard such positive things about Until Dawn, and I really like the Dark Picture anthology game. So I definitely want to. I'm very hyped for this. I definitely want to check this out. Tony, we got another trailer for Death Stranding 2, and it wasn't people screaming into a mic. It actually was kind of coherent.
Oh, okay.
So it was actually.
Could you explain what happened in it with your own words?
Yeah, sure. There was like you went into a submarine to go and become miniature to go inside somebody's body, but there was like a stop motion puppet person who's now your friend.
Hands, gloves on her face.
But then once you go inside this thing, there's also like a guy who gets resurrected that fights you with an electric guitar sword. That's my explanation of what's happening in this trailer, and that's me saying
this is coherent. That's relative.
It's still way more coherent than the last trailer they put out. And like, do you remember the original Death Stranding trailer where they just had Norman Reedus naked on a beach with like fucking?
Do you remember they slowly drip fed us really? They really drip us like random trailers every now and again. They're just like even more incoherent. It's like, what the hell?
Like, there's a lot of people like the polarized on Kojima. Like, a lot of people are like, this guy's a genius, and I'm more on the side of this guy's insane. But I'm also on the side of people who are like, I think we should let insane people make video games because at least they're going to be interesting. Yeah. Oh, Tony, there's still babies in this one.
Well, there's the weird glove hand thing, so. Yeah. I'm glad we're keeping a little more consistent, whatever that is.
I hope it's going to be a straight-up delivery game again. I have Death Stranding's director's cut. I own it now. I want to play it at some point. I actually genuinely want to try it. I think it looks interesting enough for me to give it a go. I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to complete it, but I thought that this game looked really good. Like, I think the character rendering in Death Stranding is always impressive. And it's always impressive how good it runs, especially on like different types of systems, like the PlayStation and the PC. Like, I don't know if you saw recently, they just ported the original Death Stranding to iPhone and iPad through the M1 silicon.
Oh, right.
And it actually looks pretty cool. Like, and you can use the Metal FX upscaling. I would say it is like a flawed version of the game in terms of like it's not like the greatest experience compared to like the playing it on a PlayStation or a PC, but the fact that it's even possible is like insane considering like how Apple has put no attention into gaming up until now.
It is impressive, for sure.
Yeah. But this is, I don't know if you're seeing in the trailer yet. I think the fact that the stop motion like puppet has like different rendered frames to make it look like a puppet, like very janky, look interesting. I don't think this guy is in the first game either, from what I understand. So,
well, the puppet, I have no idea. I've never seen the puppet before.
I just always have no idea what's going on. Like I played the Phantom Pain intro, Ground Zero, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, and I watched the intro and I was like, oh, it's just like directed by Hideo Kojima, and it was like these full-on like cutscene like title credits, and I'm like, man, this Hideo Kojima guy really wants to direct a movie, doesn't he? Like, it feels like video games are his side gig where he's just it's like his sizzle reel for his movie business that he doesn't do.
Yeah. He's just going to try and get famous actors into his projects.
Yeah.
And Monster, of course.
I think
his favorite brand of energy drink.
This game looks gorgeous, and it looks like we got to see a little bit more gameplay than what we have seen in the past. So I'm excited to see that. But
you mean the running parts?
Well, it looks like you're going to be delivering stuff again, which I'm. It's Tony. It's the second Strand type game. We're finally getting
you're not wrong.
But yeah, excited.
I don't know. The universe, the world, like intrigues me, but I'm not like super sold on like what I.
Yeah.
I think I own the director's cut of the first game as well. Like, is enough to give me, but like.
I got it in like a humble bundle, I think it was, which is why I have it.
I got some sort of sale.
But yeah, looks interesting enough. I'm definitely going to be checking that one out at some point. Maybe after I play the director's cut, we'll see. And then finally we have a Dave the Diver update, which I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is that fucking Godzilla? And yeah, Dave the Diver had that like Dredge crossover recently, where they added like the Dredge ships to Dave the Diver. And they're now getting an official Godzilla crossover, as well as announcing that it's coming to PS5 as well, I guess. I've heard Dave the Diver is like essentially like a Skinner box game. Do you understand what I mean when I say that?
No, I don't know what a Skinner box. What even is a Skinner box?
It's like the idea of like a gambling machine is just trying to trigger like neurons in your mind to be like flashing lights. This is really addictive. Like, you should keep playing this.
Yeah.
Dave the Diver is like a Skinner box game, like a gacha game or like a gambling thing without the predatory monetization. It's a game that's it's just trying to keep you engaged without the predatory stuff.
Right.
I do want to try out Dave the Diver at some point. It looks really cool. It's also like a Steam Deck verified. I heard it's a very good Steam Deck game.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, Godzilla's coming to Dave the Diver. And on that bombshell, I've been watching the Grand Tour recently. On that bombshell, let's read our we'll read our Peter Molydeux tweet, and we'll end the podcast. It has now been 3 years after Fable 4 was announced, and still no gameplay. Here is a video of me showing you 10 minutes of dog mechanics, the day after announcing Fable 2. Miss me, question mark? Thaness, Peter, for the tweet.
Wait, is this the fake Peter or the real tweet?
This is Peter Molydeux, so this is the parody account. The Inbetween podcast.
I can't tell sometimes.
YouTube.com @everythinginbetween podcast. If you want to watch the YouTube VOD of the podcast, TruthShots.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live. Scorn2000 if you want to follow me on Twitter for some reason there. shows.orcast.com/everything-in-between-podcast. There will be links to download the audio version as well as the links to stream it on Spotify, on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, I should say. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.